with Genji opened the doors for a lot of different teams to come in on Crash or Transition. VP left before killing the last man, and they did it at the right time. That put him in a great spot, and that BRDM let him stop right on top of Tyloo, who had just gone through the trouble of digging a hole with a grenade to lay down. They were like, oh, well, thank you, Tyloo. We will take that spot.
And that was the crazy thing about that game as well, as we look at the leaderboard here with 27 points for Virtus Pro. I mean, they, as you stated, in that compound, they had to deal with AJAL. They had to somewhat deal with Na'Vi. They had to deal with Genji, right? All those teams are coming down to the southwest. Well, I'm saying VP had to deal with all those teams as they were down there, and then they got that BRDM. They were able to shift into that field, which I also just want to talk about this as well, right? Like, how many times, Steve, would we have seen that field ending before and be like, man, it's just cooked for all the teams out in the open. The fact that there is now defilades and the nades can create cover. You have a pickaxe. This is so cool for me to see, because before these fields were it was just death, and now teams are finding cover, creating plays. Is so sick.
So, Seven, I know that you haven't had a chance to be on this patch since they added the digging.
Yep, I love it.
This game was a showcase.
Probably one of the coolest.
Exactly. Additions. These fields traditionally have just been an absolute, I mean, honestly, terrible situation to find yourself in. Yep.
Yeah.
The fact that 17 lasted as long as they did, the fact that Soup on the north side, I thought they were cooked early, but the Soup boiled over. They got in the circle, they dug the hole, and they made it work. So I do think this has been a pretty good case study for how the pickaxe, how the destructible trade can be a benefit.
I think it's one of the best additions they've added, personally.
And when I was talking with Kalaris yesterday after the show, he asked me, what is the one thing that you're enjoying the most so far? I was like, the digging. It just changes the dynamics so much of certain areas. We got a chance to see it yesterday, but as you guys just mentioned, we just saw it perfectly in that scenario. And the BRDM, I want to see a little bit more of that splat maker, because I wanted to see them being able to run some people over with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that BRDM has been a huge staple so far this game. Yeah,
I love it.
The biggest fan of it.
Historically, Godspeed has not been a BRDM lover. It has gotten stronger with the nerf to the Panzerfaust, a few less counters, but it's been very good. We've seen it over and over again. I do think, sometimes the pickaxe a bit overpowered. Maybe a few changes for like the durability or things like that would be good. But the holes, I love the fact that we can change the terrain.
Yeah.
I also want to give a shout. Another thing that was added not long ago was res beacons. We saw a trap at a res beacon.
Okay, donc الماتش الأول ربحوا VP.
Pro man, 7 kills for Beamy.
That's what you were talking about too, Lace. Beamy.
البارح لعبوا مزيان صراحة.
And honestly, a good pick me up and a great start for this squad, considering what was happening yesterday. As you were mentioning, not really one of the best.
لما جابوا أول وين ديالهم.
They started off hot.
Yeah, and like I said, they really need to have that momentum, because, they know what's coming for them in these other groups, and they really did hone in on those eliminations and all those kills there. But I sort of want to move more maybe to our teams that didn't do so well and that I had on my books.
My favorite segment.
My favorite segment. The losers.
ساتمان كذا ما خير PUBG أسطورية. ديجا كنت تفرجت في واحد التورنوا ديالو. لا كتشبك من كامبي. كتشبك أوليدي. داكشي على حسب الماتشات وعلى حسب التيم، فهمتيني. على حسب النقاط، فهمتي. حد دابا لوبجيكتيف ديالهم هما يجمعوا النقاط بزاف. إلا كنت شي تيم ديجا جامع النقاط بزاف ما تكامبيش، فهمتيني. غتمشي تحاول تقتل الماكسيموم. اللي كيكونوا ما عندهمش نقاط بزاف كيحاولوا يبقاو حتى للتالي، حيت كيكونوا البوينتس ديال الكيلز والبوينتس ديال البليسمنت.
The problem for me, I'm glad you brought up Genji, is that their whole year has just been disappointing. When you look at the roster, you have
الماتش الأول راه الفرقة اللي ربحات جابت شي 16 كيلو الماتش.
I say in their prime, they're really not that far off it, or if they're not.
Donc كتشبك.
Salute at one point with Soul was one of the best players in the world. Like, Soul was one of the best players in the world, right? We all said it. He's incredible. Him and Tig had a little set off. Where is that? I need to see that.
They just brought back this roster, no? They sort of
but all year they have been floundering, and I need to see something more. This is the biggest test they're going to have, and so far, the first game wasn't great. Now, I have to give him a caveat, because that circle was rough. That whole circle, Steve, we saw a lot of teams having to go. Those fields traditionally underneath Everest have always been really rough to play around. So, I mean, you got to give him a pass, I guess.
I guess.
That's right. I mean, I want to see team not be getting a pass in AGL. I want to see a little bit more out of that squad.
They need more too.
They have 5 more matches left, and it's not going to be enough. But I know we do have something awesome coming this year, and that is none other than ENC.
ضروري خص تشبك. الصراحه كل تيم استراتيجي ديالها فهمتيني. كاين واحد كاين شي تيم اللي غادي كيبقاو لاعبين سنيكي بيكي حتى التساريعات كيخرجوا، وكاين اللي كيبداو من الاول طايحين. دابا لاعبين المجموعات خاص كاين 24 فرقه، خاص يجيو من 16 فرقه الاولى باش تاهلوا للفينال.
Massive PNC win. Obviously, everybody's looking at Brazil, but I feel like that might have been a once in a blue moon, just exciting thing. I think you really got to look at Thailand. You got to look at Vietnam, China, South Korea. Basically the East, right? If you're looking at, if you want to put all your chips in the right spot, but you never know. I mean, the West has something to say about it sometimes.
Yeah, I'm going to slightly disagree. I think the West has got some power. I think you think that Brazil might be once in a blue moon, and they looked good being able to do it over at PNC. At the same time, though, EMEA is able to represent in quite a big way as well. If you think about those individual components that will get a chance at ENC compared to some of our prior ones, you've got guys like Nixie and the boys able to put up some kind of numbers as well. So I think there'll be some big challenges.
يبداو دابا الماتش الثاني اليوم.
It is time to head over to the casters here for our next game of the day.
Bye. Thank you so much. Super hype for ENC this year. Yeah, okay, we just had PUBG Nations Cup, but I love whenever we watch what's going on with Esports World Cup in general. Now getting another, I guess, a different flavor. You know, we got some vanilla, got some chocolate going on. Mix it up, get some fun going on with this one, because we just did the qualifiers for that. I think it was me and Poro, and it was just so fun already.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's going to be a great event, just top to bottom. It's so much more like interesting in a way, because it's different than what we're used to, where teams can just kind of bring anyone together from around the world and you know, put together these great teams that we get to see here at EWC, at ENC. It's all that country pride, it's all that those things on the line, and the stakes are going to be so high. Everybody's going to want to be gunning for that big prize that you can get if you win. So we'll have to wait and see. But this plane path, pretty fair, right down the middle-ish, a little bit east, but pretty reachable for most of the drop spots on Tego.
Do we get another northern Tego? Because while we've got
Tego,
it feels like it just keeps pulling back over. It's one of two things. We either get Song On with like 50% of it water, or we are up next to Shipyard and Army Base. It's kind of just abandoned the center of it, which I don't have a problem with. That's kind of one of the worst areas that I don't really like to play in Tego.
Ah, okay. I mean, I kind of like most of Tego. Actually, the only place I don't like is the swamps by Hosan Prison. That part is not fun to play through.
I kind of like that area because you can do like all the foot pushes around on those little mini hills.
Yeah.
Now, competitively, it's a lot harder, of course.
Yeah, it's
اوه الزون شيفتات في هاد البلاصه.
down over there, I guess. We're up by Shipyard.
بعيد على كلش. شوف بنادم كيقلب كلشي كيقلب الاتجاه ديالو.
Falcons going over to the airport and they will be A-okay.
فالكنز جاو في بلاصه زوينه الصراحه، يقدروا يشدوا ديك البلايصه ويبقاو فيها حتى التالي. تقدر تشيفتي الماب تما في النكست سبون.
This is a circle where we don't have too many teams in it. I mean, really, we've got, what, a little bit of T1, but Gen.G is going to have inside track on good positioning. While we've got the map up, I want to point out there's a whole bunch of kind of flatter, more open terrain, of course, over into the east, leading into and around airport. But whenever we come into Shipyard, that territory just to the south of it has got this, I don't want to say big hill, but biggish hill that's over there that a lot of teams can kind of fortify around in different sections of, and kind of creates a fortress for everybody that's kind of playing in the, I guess, the river that's more to the south, it's more open and flat, and then to that eastern territory.
Yeah. The hill around it is one of the bigger ones on Tego for sure. And there's a decent amount of trees and other things to work with that's up by that Shipyard hill. So there is a lot of room in this circle, even though there's quite a bit of water. There's still options. They aren't great in some cases where you might have to kind of hang out at the edges of the fields that have kind of those berms on the outside of them that you can try to hide underneath and wait things out a little bit, try to make your moment. But the real thing I have in mind right now is the fact that this circle's so far away from everybody. Like you mentioned earlier, not a lot of teams starting in it means that there could be one of those situations where teams run into each other while they're rotating or something like that.
Well, I mean, look, this is a early emergency pickup already called from 17 Gaming. I guess maybe wanting to go to the opposite side of the circle. No harm in that. You know, if you go to the eastern area of Shipyard, you can get your back up against the water, push in, know the fact that you don't have to scout as much, going to make you feel a little bit safer. Maybe this is just going to be one of those things where you have a couple players go up, or nope, it is a full commitment. I was going to say maybe they're just doing some scouting with it. Nah, they want to avoid all of the mess, because we have been seeing Shipyard a lot this year, And it is just dicey over there, man. I mean, we just talked about PUBG Nations Cup. Brazil had a massive game coming out of Shipyard.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can fight out a Shipyard pretty well. Again, going uphill in a situation like this, a little bit easier sometimes, especially with the amount of cover that you're going to be afforded in parts of this area of the map. So, yeah, I think what 17's doing perfectly fine. I wouldn't be surprised to see them, like you mentioned, go to the complete opposite end here. They're going to see Gen G underneath them, kind of center-ish. So I wouldn't think that that would be where they want to get out. I think one of them just got tagged in the middle of the air. Poor guys.
Falcons rotated really quick away from airport. They already have Gustav that's got a foothold in those hills that we were talking about south of Shipyard. But it looks like they've got a couple of rotation options. I think that they're just going to get more control over that southeastern hillside. A couple other squads going to be rotating over there pretty close to it. Petrichor Road going to be right back behind it. Tyloo actually has one dragon that got stuck behind Petrichor Road. So the rest of the squad going to be in front is, 17's pulling, and they are going as far to the northeast as you can get on this map.
Yeah, I think this makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Looking for maybe some vehicles that didn't get scooped up along the way, and Wenbo's already got one for the team, and VC gonna roll into Shipyard proper, try to figure out if anybody's in here. Gen G has a player close. It's Bean and somebody else over there with him. Looks like D, as they went into a 2-2, but they're gonna drive away from this. Don't want to give Vicious Esports an opportunity to find a free pick or something like that, or maybe they're just gonna spread out a little bit. They're leaving D on his own.
So while we're looking at what's going on with the circle, also remember that we do have, I guess, the river that turns into the dried river. That's a big core component of this circle, going down into the south, and the territory that's just going to be to the west of that, that's also incredibly hilly. We don't know how the circles are going to pop, because remember, these are the new circles. For all we know, we could go back over to the west of Shipyard, just because why not? Really, Super is the only squad that's playing over there right now. I dare you to cross that bridge next to Shipyard. It's not going to feel good, and I don't think that they're going to go that route. But we've got a lot of late rotators down to the southwest where we can see Full Sense about to make their move. Anyone's Legend's going to be very close to them. Sharper is going to be back behind that. Even Shadow down there is... A lot of squads are like, nah, man, I don't even want to go center on this one. I'm just waiting for Circle 2.
This is what I'm a little worried about for Gen G, is D's all on his own. He needs to get the heck out of here, man. He is getting surrounded. He's gonna do some damage.
This is a very interesting push coming out from VC. They see an opportunity. Shipyard. They go for the hillside, get themselves a decent spot. D's going to be playing the other side of it for now, but this is pretty vulnerable, specifically with 17. Hearing this firefight, they're also moving in pretty close. So the longer this goes in, I like this. In from Gen G on the side flank of it. D is going to go down.
جاو يعاونوا صاحبه.
Gen G off of it. No.
نايس جابوا كيل جابوا نوك
على at this point, I mean, D was dead to rights if they didn't get there quick, and being able to at least buy a little bit of extra time. Tycon will at least take the point for now. VC has established themselves. They've got their position taken, and Gen G has to retreat, so that's going to be blue chip on the ground.
I like this from Gen G. They wanted to go for D, see if they can maybe get him out. Yes, they have a position over that compound, but they know too many people are going to be vying for positions on this hillside, so they need to get out very quickly. 17's already just going to be in the north of them. Vitality already over into the east. To the south, it's going to be Falcons, and T1 kind of close as well. So abandoning that position, while it did cost them D, does also mean the fact that they can get into a better defensive
غادي بالجلايدر هذا كيحاول يكتشف واش كاين شي واحد في البلاصه.
I think the mistake there is just leaving B in the beginning, and I talked about when VC goes into Shipyard, that compound that does it is actually pretty easy to encroach upon from the Shipyard spot. So that's exactly what happened. When you're on your own, you can't really defend that.
Super is going in for an entirely different strategy right now, as it looks like it's all the way up into the north of Shipyard entirely. They're out in the water. They're going to go ahead and wrap into that section of it. Should be pretty okay. So with VC, kind of
Super جاو الظن من البحر صح.
Yeah, but the Supers are going to have to get it done on foot now. Not going to have the luxury of having, a Dacia or a US or something like that as they try to make their way forward. Now, the good news for them in a way is that everybody in front of them is a little bit split up for the most part. VC's pretty coordinated, like in terms of being pretty close to each other, but like Sha Wu, for example, who's on the edge of one of those warehouses in the Shipyard. Human can just do a little bit of scouting out there, make sure nobody's coming up behind him. He can watch the bridge a little bit.
Hide behind the cargo barges over here. He's got that pier that he can kind of keep an eye on. I mean, there are a couple of foot push capabilities coming out, and I wouldn't be surprised if Supers went for this strategy, maybe to see if maybe they already have or are looking for another emergency pickup that they could use, because we often see bouncing out of Shipyard.
There's a couple of
foot push paths
Oh.
that you can go for. But
Nice.
that's a problem for later because this circle is going to stay on Shipyard. It's just the guys to the south. So let's get ready. T1 is going to have to be defending or really abandoning that position. While it's going to be a VP, AGAL, Navi, JDG, Fulson,
مازال بزاف ديال التيمز برا
even have
الزون.
Shadow as well as Petrichor Road all having to regroup on the hillside we just keep talking about.
Yeah, it's going to get a little bit chaotic maybe. It's starting to really narrow down the amount of playable terrain that is going to be available.
وهنا اي جي ال غيطايفوا مع تايلو. لقاوهم صح.
Spotted out Hausker before he could get that Panzer put into place, and all of a sudden Tai Lu on the road.
نايس. فالكنز لقاو فيتاليتي جابوا نوك.
Falcons taking a bit of a fight against, I believe, Vitality out there. Tiggleton's going to take a
نايس. كونفيرماو الكيل.
trying to hold the line. Some grenades are going to hit him though. He's going to throw a stun in response.
تايلو انا صعيب يسرفايف.
The longer this goes on, the scarier it gets. JDG still needs to get in the circle, and they're going to be wrapping over here. They might choose to third party. AGAL feels like they've got the momentum already set up for themselves, but they don't want to overextend onto anything right now. They want to try to reset the pacing just a bit more, see if they can get any knocks. Lee's on the other side of this right now. Has a lot of vision on at least Sololzy on position, but this is kind of isolated. Not too much he can do.
اوه جرانيد واعر.
Pretty close to
No.
Sololzy, but it's going to bounce a couple
بعيدة
times. So
شوية.
continue on its merry way. It's going to and Sololzy just denies Lee to do anything.
Yeah,
Bazooka.
blank there. If Lee had cooked that frag grenade a lot more, he could have maybe gotten Sololzy there.
Ah,
but he
GL
wasn't
صافي
cooked at
ربحوا هاد
all. He
الفايت
kinda
هاد.
tossed it in. Meanwhile, Delwyn trying
Bye,
to
Navi.
use the edge of the smokes. Yes, indeed. Goodbye.
تايلو بقاو منهم غير جوج دابا اللي الايف.
Something about this. Hemas hits his teammate.
اوه تاع جي ال. اوه نوكا صاحبه قتل صاحبه. نوكا صاحبه. اوه جي دي جي دخلوا خداو كيل على تايلو. لا جي ال توارات لهم. عرفت كي دار ضرب صاحبه.
I don't know if he's going to go for anything else here. Is it's just going to be pretty defended? I mean, he's going for a couple of peeks, but nothing's revealing itself.
This looked like it was going to be.
فالكن جابوا كيل واحد اخر على
Navi.
Navi.
Very sideways, very fast.
Sorry, I saw that Vince deny the grenade, and it just reminded me of whenever Barney denied the shot coming up from Kalaris
Oh,
earlier
yeah,
today.
right.
That was just full rejection.
Yep, just denied.
وكاين نوك على تي على واحد اللاعب من تي 1.
Stop Kalaris. He isn't, you know, the most athletic.
He was trying. He was trying his hardest.
That, but his best is.
اللاعب الوحيد اللي بقى من تايلو هنا كيحاول ياخذ الانفورماسيون فين كاينين اللاعب ديال اي جي ال.
The lore, yeah, exactly.
وانا غير قال لهم فين راه وصافي. اي بغاو يصفيو دابا. اي جي ال ريفايفو كاع العشرين ديالهم. دابا الزونات شيفتي عاوتاني. نايس. فالكنز كاينين في بلاصه مزيانه هما وجي ان جي فيتاليتي تا هما. نافي.
Yeah, for sure. That western edge may get a
ولكن مازال كاين بزاف ديال الفرق خاصهم يروتيتيو باش يدخلوا للزون الجايه. بقى 30 ثانيه للزون باش تبدا تسد. هنا قتل واحد وسميتو. ومن بعد غيدمج حتى صاحبو غينوكيه. نوكا صاحبو. تايلو اول فرقه كتاليمينيتا اي جي ال صفاهم. خرجوا زيرو نقطه ما جابوا حتى شي كيل. اوه هنا تي 1 غيلقاو في بي. النوك الاولى. اوه جوج نوك. او لا لا جوج الكيلز بالطوموبيل. كونفيرم الكيلز بالطوموبيل ود الاخرى. هادوك داك جوج اللي بقاو غيحاولوا غيهربوا صافي.
Going to be able to recreate the same magic most likely. Yes, Beamy and Crexy very good, but as a duo, nigh impossible to be putting up double-digit kills. Left to wait and see. Is Heather kind of right behind Beamy, driving in his general direction?
Nowhere to go. It is going to be Supers making the push to the south, right as VC is making their
Supers نوكاو لاعب من في سي.
T1 hears that firefight. Looks like they're trying to backstab, see if they can get a piece of what's going to go on.
كونفيرماو الكيل.
Falcons also going to be to the east of this with some minimal vision. Trees are going to deny out a lot, but it's going to be enough to make it
اوه سوبرز نوك واحدة أخرى.
Another knock. Nade from Rex drops on top of Duckmine.
ولكن راه له بزاف هيفن.
Do some really nice damage up there is Rex.
صهيلي.
Heaven was really in a lot of trouble. Had to go prone into the smoke to get the heal through. Like this from the supers, they gotta clear an edge, and if they can deal with VC at least.
هادو جوج اللعابة اللي بقاو من VC.
Then they're gonna buy themselves a little bit more space. Now the concern, of course, is going to be that Falcons also going to be up ahead of you, and you got a little bit too far ahead of the rest of them. Did Rex there, and he pays the price. He almost gets knocked by Falcons off screen. Meanwhile, the rest of supers trying to find some kind of safety into this next circle, and they're getting harassed the whole way in.
I mean, there's a couple of little divots and shacks that you can play, but none of it feels super good. At least
Falcons هنا كيتارجيتيو السوبرز.
just to the south. Anyone's Legend also going to be approaching on a similar vector to this.
فالكن جابوا نوك على السوبرز. لكن غالبا غيتريفايفا. سوبرز مجموعة. راسهم ردوا بالهم من الجرينيدز. كاين فيسي اللي موراهم. فيسي واخا بجوج يقدروا يمرضوا السوبرز حتى جايين من ورا. يجي لقاو نوك على تي 1.
Taking that knock on a DL really painful. That helmet going to be very beat up. And Delwyn does find E-end off screen. Falcons here just staring down. And anytime the supers try to pop out and do much, they're just going to be getting lit up.
You're a lot of shots. That's going to be anyone's legend getting.
يجي نوك واحدة أخرى على تي 1. تي 1 عندهم جوج البلايرز نوك.
Up to the north, we also do have Shadow getting very close to 17. A lot of individual fights starting to break out. It's VC now trying to backstab onto T1. Type just denies out as much of that as he can.
VC عندهم لعاب مات بالزون. تنوكا بالزون. ولكن يقدر يجيب نوك قبل او VC اوت. نافي كونفيرماو الكيل على الاخر على VC. فالكنز نوك اوت. لاعب واحد اخر من سوبرز. سوبرز قتلو يجيبو كيل كونتر تي 1. ناري كلشي شابك هنايا دابا الفرق كاملين دخلوا. فالكنز كاينين في بلاصه مزيانه حيت كاينين مغطيين في وسط داك عندهم جوج ديال البويلدينز. او نافي نوكاو لاعب من اي جي ار كونفيرماو الكيل. او شريمزي كياخد كيل على سوبرز الفالكنز. اي جي ال كيكونفيرميو كيل كونتر نافي. نافي بقاو عندهم لعاب واحد اللي اللايف. نافي ار اوت.
And now that's more space for the supers to deal with, but Falcons are very focused in dealing with supers, while 17 feels like they're trying to take shots on the other side of Falcons.
قتلوا اللعاب الثالث ديال السوبرز. نو الثاني بلوتو. سوبرز بقى عندهم لعاب واحد. اوه فيرس برو واخا بقاو منهم جوج مازال كي. اوه كريزي. فالكن جابو كيل عاوتاني واحد اخر على السوبرز. فالكن واخدين بلاصه واعره وكيجيبو بزاف د الكيلز. عندهم دابا 6 الكيلز. في بي كونفيرماو الكيل كونتر اي جي ال. اي جي ال بقى لهم لعاب واحد دابا. اوه فالكن جابوا الكيل السابعه اليوم في الماتش. خرجوا دابا من البيلدين ولكن عندهم واحد مات وواحد نوك حيت كانوا برا الزون في داك البيلدين. هنا فالكنز في بلاصه خايبه. اوه هنا تي 1 يدخل عندهم الدبابه. شبكات هنا.
I don't know, just buy enough time maybe to get everybody inside the cars. Do they have a Panzerfaust maybe in the back of one of them?
Well, now they just have to light it up. I mean, they've got to try to wear through that armor, but look how healthy this BRDM still is. I mean, maybe 75% health left here.
اجي ال ار اليمينيتد. اوه هيدر هنا قدر يقتل جوج بالدبابه.
That is terrible. Full sense just watching on the outside of this. Falcons were having such a good game, finding so many kills.
مولوتوف هنايا. اوه فالكنز ار اليمينيتد. برافو هيدر.
was such a tricky spot because of that BRDM. The Falcons there. I mean, Gustav
بوحدو جاب 3 الكيلز.
he had just gotten the health in when he got hit by the BRDM, was able to survive it because of that. And then still the reset there for Heather, and he is going to slurp up a lot of good util.
I feel so bad for the Falcons on that one. It felt like everything was going good. 7 kills, 3 players up in the
دوماج فالكن الصراحه كانوا غاديين مزيان مي ماشي مشكل. ديجا خداو 7 نقاط من الكيلز. مازال عندهم الوقت باش يرجعوا.
As Full Sense has got control over to the west-ish, but also kind of in the south, as they're running a very wide 2-1-1.
I'm very curious about JD Gaming. What are we going to be doing here? Belmoth at least bullied away from their western flank. The bad news is that Sharper has some kind of angle down into him. Petrichor Road just ahead of this as well.
Where's this
Mortars up in the air.
This is after the BRD.
مورتر هنايا. جاب في تي 1 ولكن الارمر ديال
Close to Heather's BRDM there.
بابا كي بروتكتيه بزاف.
Moves it a few feet forward. Ah, man, I don't want to play that game. Everything's fine. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that was Flash and Full Sense that took the shots. I didn't see exactly where it came out. There's just a spattering of solos that are over here. I mean, we can see that humans trying.
صراحه اللاعب ديال تي 1 عنده الزهر ان الزون تسدات في بلاصه ما فيهاش بزاف د البيلدينز. كون كانوا البيلدينز صراحه ما كان يقدر يدير والو بالدبابات. هنا فول سنس تاهما عندهم دبابه. يقدروا يقتلوا اخر لاعب من السوبرز. VPR out.
So Virtus Pro will fall in 10th as well. So Virtus Pro not able to kind of replicate some of that great energy they had from game 1, but that's okay. They're doing just fine.
But look at this. Full Sense already being aggro on the other side with Petrichor Road.
جي دي جيمين ار اوت. 17 جابوا 3 الكيلز كونتر جي دي جي. 17 ماتش كامل هما ساكتين ودابا دخلوا بثلاثه الكيلز.
Trying to figure out how you can dig the best inside of some of these circles. We're going to get a lot more of open territory that we're going to be moving into. The circle does pop over to the north. Genji's got a compound. It's going to be Shadow having the eastern side of it. And Heather in control of, I guess, everything else with the BRDM.
Yeah, Heather is just
أنا شاربر إي سبورت كيختار كيتو بيرو. ولكن بيرو عندهم شوية اليوتيليتي اللي حاميهم ما عندهمش ما كيخليوش الانميز بزاف الفيجن. مورتر هنايا ما يجي حتى واحد.
My eyes on the Gen G here with 3 players up. You know, maybe somebody makes a go at their kind of flimsy compound they've got up on the north side.
I'm just kind of confused in what you do down to the south. Okay, you're going to be moving.
شادو هنايا جابوا كيل على 17. هنا كاين البلو كيلونسيو البلو وكيقدروا يجيبوا نوك على بيرو.
You can see that Petrichor Road's having to deal with Sharper on the other side. Double up blue zones. A ton of frag grenades coming out. Sharper's realized it's going to be really hard to get in the circle. 17's already got vision on them. So they've just got to take down Petrichor Road.
شاربر بعادين على الزون دابا يقدروا يطلقوا معاه فيتاليتي.
Vitality though does look like they have the same idea as Sharper, but they're going to go after Sharper. Looks like they're sneaking up right back behind him, trying to see if they can get the backstab up, but it's just a second too late.
Sharper has to give
جنجي جابوا نوك على 17. شادو إي سبورت شفروا الكيل.
17 still struggling over there. It's being into Setina taking the point, and here goes Sharper forced into Petrichor Road.
شاربر هنايا خسروا 3 لعابة. فيتاليتي وبيرو بجوجهم حاصروهم.
Full Sense with 2 of their players just keep roaming back down here to see if they can steal anything. Gonna go ahead and pick up 1 of the kills out of all it.
هنا اللاعب الوحيد اللي بقى من شاربر كيحاول. ما يقدرش الزون كدمجيه بزاف. شاربرز ار اوت.
Now it's going to be Vitality that has to figure out how they're going to get into the circle. Petrichor Road's at least
Pero
a foothold with 1 of their players.
Yeah, Chewy's going to see.
بقاو منهم 3 لعابة.
Full Sense next to him over there, so he has to start letting loose with the grenades.
Full Sense
really do is just move Tigger off the mark a little.
مازالين بربعة بيهم. بيرو غيحاولوا يتارجيتيهم.
Kind of concerning. I'm not sure if Full Sense has spotted this. Maybe Belmoth got.
Full Sense قتلوا لعاب من بيرو. بيرو بقى عندهم لعاب واحد اللايف دابا. فيتاليتي هنا كيغاليريو.
Ming gets the knock on Levante and makes it look
فيتاليتي يقدروا يخرجوا دابا.
a surrender of position coming up from Petrichor Road.
فيتاليتي ار اوت.
Juicy Vitality fall.
مركز السابع دابا.
Control of the south.
Yeah, this has been a really nice kind of slow and steady game. Tigger
بيرو ار اوت.
knocking Petrichor down in
توب 5 عندنا شادوي سبورت، فول سنس، تي 1، 17 وجينجي.
There was that Panzerfaust that we saw in one of those vehicles on the southern edge that Chewy from Petrichor Road had. So I'm wondering if Full Sense was able to scoop that up, and that may be the thing that ends up spelling Heather's demise. Meanwhile, Shadow Esports getting deep into another game. Let's see if they can get another win. We saw it yesterday. They shocked us, and I'd love
17 بقى منهم لاعب واحد.
Most of the circle is going to be to the
اللاعب ديال تي 1 مازال بسرفايفي بالدبابه ديالو.
Jinji's got to leave their compound position.
ما يمكنش. شحال ربحهم النقاط في هذا الماتش غير بهاد الدبابه.
Kind of roaming around trying to see where he's not going to get shot at, to see how much more placement points he can. Actually, he's going to jump back out, take a couple of shots. Very
اوه هنا خرج من الدبابه.
I think that Heather's found himself a bit
ولكن بزاف ديال اللعاب مطارقيتينو يقرر انه يرجع.
He eased up his position. I mean, poor old Heather, he just want to be left alone.
No one's going to be happy with that when you're in a BRDM, though. I think it blew up. Yeah, it's
اوه
Flaunting it, to be honest.
دابا
He's been roaming around in front of everybody, be like, look at what I've got, guys.
فرقعوا له الدبابه ديالو.
like you know, the oligarchy over there.
Yes, T1 are out.
Going down. Soul will
كلشي تارجيته.
that BRDM only had so much health and
اوه 17 gaming are out.
still very much alive. So Shadow looking to see if they can maybe
Shadowy Sport
a little bit further into this circle.
كونتر جينجي وفول سنس. شادوي سبورت صراحه لاعبين مزيان، البارح قدروا يربحوا ماتش، دابا راهم جابوا الطوب 3. يعانوا بزاف هاد النقاط هادو. اتمنى صحاب كادو حمزه اللي لاعب راه الشباكين. شادوي سبورت يمكن هما اللي غيخسروا دابا لحقاش فول سنس صعيب يخسروا، عندهم لعاب بالدبابه هذاك جبونس يبقى يحاول مسرفايفي حتى الاخر، وعنده البازوكا. جنجي في بلاصه شويه بعيده واخا بهم جوج، لا بهم 3 اوكي، ولكن بعاد شويه على الفايت. دابا الفايت كاين بين شادوي سبورت وفول سنس. جنجي يقدروا يجيبوا نوك على شادوي سبورت. يس كيما قلت لكم شادوي سبورت دابا كيغاليريو، بقاو منهم غير جوج. الزون كتمرضهم، غالبا غيموت واحد بالزون. يس غيموت بالزون وما غيعطي النقطه حتى واحد. يس غيموتوا بالزون وما غادي يعطيو النقاط ديالهم حتى واحد. برافو عليهم، اومو ما زادوش النقاط للفرق الاخرين. دابا فول سنس وجينجي غالبا فول سنس غيربحوا، عندهم كونترول واعر على الماب وعندهم الدبابه. جينجي مفرقين وعندهم بازوكا، دونك يقدروا يسربرايزيو شادوي سبورت. لا فول سنس زعما فول سنس ديجا في الزون، دابا جينجي خصهم ضروري يتحركوا. جينجي غيمشيو جوج بالطونوبيل وواحد غيبقى بعيد. واش داروا سي 4؟ لا ما داروش سي 4. كريزي بازوكا واعر هنايا. فول سنس غالبا غيربحوا هذا الماتش، بقاو 4v1. ما عرفتش علاش مشاو جوج بالطونوبيل. جي برافو فول سنس، غالبا غيربحوا الماتش. جي برافو فول سنس، قدروا يربحوا الماتش وغادي يقربوا من انهم يتأهلوا لا فينال. برافو جينجي بعد الماتش الاول اللي جوبونس ما ربحوا فيه حتى نقطه، هذا الماتش يقدروا يجيو هما الثانيين.
A lot of squads kind of stacked on top of each other, trying to go for full defense, while Full Sense was slower in their roams and
اشابك اخي عثمان.
had control of the southwest time and time again in these very wide control.
واحد البارح خصك شي واحد اللقطه البارح بقى بو سميتو ماشي بقى بوحدو، بقاو بهم بزاف. دار السي 4 في الطوموبيل ومشى كيسبق وفرقع الطوموبيل على واحد جوج العاديين، قتلهم بجوج بالطوموبيل. داكشي علاش صحابني هادو عندهم سي 4 ولكن لا كانت عندهم بازوكا، كانوا باغيين يقربوا يضربوا بالبازوكا، ولكن ما سحابلهمش الاخرين حتى هما عندهم بازوكا، فرقعوا الزمر كامل.
That's just, again, it was a steady game.
I'm so glad we got the victory team comms coming out from that. Whenever you saw the BRDMs rolling around instead of what we got with Falcons, because those had to be the quietest of calm. I mean, what do you even do? Poor old Falcons and Heather. Respect for doing it, man, but that was one of the dirtiest things I've seen in PUBG in a while.
It's just tough if you don't have the Panzer. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do in that situation, especially when you're kind of stuck and you're taking damage, and it's just really hard to kind of find a way out of it. And Heather, to his credit, you know, played it nicely. That's kind of he has a huge advantage, but still
that was a
got the
great
job done.
salvage game coming out from them. Of course, we talked about Falcons and the weird BRDM stuff that happened with them, but they still had a decent kill count coming out from that game. Shadow, later stages, time and time again, finding just enough, it feels like.
Well, they're hanging in there. They still need to pick up the pace maybe just a little bit. I mean, we were kind of talking backstage what we think the point cutoff is going to be. Somewhere around 60 points is kind of what we were sort of feeling at the time.
That's the inherent average that we tend to see.
Exactly. I mean, and so it's pretty standard stuff when you're playing 6 games a day for, 12 games total. It's just, I need to see just a little bit more from them, but they're hanging in there. Their macro at least can be good. When they're given opportunities, they can hang in there.
You know what I need to see? Anyone's legend surviving for, I don't know, Circle 4?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with them, but it is just, the rotates are just a problem right now, man. I don't know if it's their scouting. I don't know if they're just more confident in their approach than what they actually wanted. It's just absolutely crazy as we've got another squad in the hunt, and that is going to be Vitality. I believe Coloris has Levante on the stage.
That's right. Thank you very much, guys. Of course, Levante here, the big man himself here to talk about everything that's
Levante.
going on.
فيتاليتي صراحة
Levante here to start things off.
ما لعبوش مزيان هذا الماتش هذا.
You're in the compound, circle 6.
الماتش اللي دوز لعبوا مزيان.
What's the plan for the team?
Найти поинты, сделать игру максимально хорошую для нас, зафармить все и попытаться зайти в плейсмент-поинты, найти киллы, найти плейсмент-поинты, в целом все. Ну, шифт, конечно, неприятный. Двигаемся дальше.
Points to make the game maximally good for us, to gather up and to maneuver forward. Yes, indeed, the Circle 6, the form, okay, not so good for us, but we're moving forward. We are going ahead, finding points, that's it.
Okay, fair play. And overall, what was your kind of impressions of yesterday? What went down? Do you think that you could have had a little bit more points on some of the certain games? What was your perspective on day number 1?
Конечно, мы должны были и обязаны были вчера набрать больше поинтов, но мы допускали в своих играх глупые ошибки, из-за этого где-то не добрали, где-то плохо сыграли, но сегодня дали себе обещание парням, кто нас поддерживает в нашей организации, что мы справимся и сделаем сегодня все для того, чтобы пройти финал.
Oh yes, indeed. Yesterday we must have had to score more points, but somehow we failed to do so. Nevertheless, we have time, we have today. We made a commitment to ourselves, between the players and to the guys who are committed to
Crazy.
Are going to get those
ضريف
points,
Levante.
focus, gather up and move forward.
All right, well, thank you very much, Levante, for joining us. All right, it's time for a flex off. We do flex off. All right, that's Levante. Let's go.
He thinks he can come in here and play my game. He knows nothing. Let's go! Tyler 1, you're done.
تايلر كريزي صار مشينا شفنا نهار الأحد ضريف بزاف.
Introducing the Red Zone Grenade, the newest addition to the PUBG throwables. With the Red Zone Grenades, you won't have to worry about scouting the enemy team anymore. Just pick one up, throw it into your enemy's territory, and watch them get blasted from the skies. The Red Zone Grenade, your savior when one explosion isn't enough. Coming soon to your PUBG lobby. Visit throwable. Before using, make sure it won't bounce back into your playing zone, and don't use it in a closed environment. Common side effects include friendly fire, blowing up vehicles, and destroying terrain. Consult with your team leader or coach before safe use.
Oh man, I want a red zone grenade. They look so much fun. And I mean, a squad that was able to not use the red zone grenade, but finally show up full sense. And for everybody currently watching at home, if you guys haven't already, make sure you check out the Esports Foundation Creator Program. You can join it, go sign up at some point. Maybe a QR code will, there you go. Oh, that was magical.
ان شاء الله مو فرق.
You just scan that QR code, sign up, you can earn rewards, and we might even end up interviewing you on the finals. Check that out, the Esports Foundation Creator Program. Lots of rewards to be earned right there. But talking about earning rewards, a great reward for Full Sense finally showing up.
Finally showing up after catching a few circles and, of course, having a BRDM and, of course, having all the other teams kind of take care of each other. But look, the PGC 2025 champions, they showed up.
We said in the pre-show they need to step up and have a day like the fact that you win the world and then kind of have to make a name for yourself, struggle back, prove to everyone you deserve to be in the final can be a tricky thing. So to get a win here, whether it's by an inch or a mile, doesn't matter. Chicken is a chicken. It cooks the same no matter how you get it. Is good for them and I think sets them on a path to maybe grind it back up.
Do we think they were gifted that because Gen G just full sent with no capabilities and got blasted in the face right at the end? But I'm just going to leave that right there because what?
Also, just to point out the fact that Full Sense had that in the fact that they still had that late into the game with multiple BRDMs coming around, it's like Gen G could not have expected they would have a Panzer there.
Right, no, because the weight of the Panzer and especially like using it lately, it got nerfed, it's hard to move with, it's not the counter that it used to be, so people just stopped using it as much, right? So the fact, you can't expect that. The BRDMs, it's like, oh, when Batulan uses it, nobody stops him. But here they come. Oh, there's a pocket Panzer. No one likes those.
I'm glad you guys are talking about that stuff because I got a chance to finally see the Splat Maker in action. That BRDM. By the way, well, you'll get a chance to see it. The one I was actually talking about, it's none other. Whoa, this one. Oh my gosh.
That's what we're talking about.
That ending was beautiful. And then there was another one that hopefully we'll be able to show later on because Falcons, my goodness, Falcons. What were we thinking at one point as we look at team stats right here from Full Sense?
Yeah, I mean, we were having this conversation about Falcons before. You know, I was like, oh, they were kind of gifted a great zone, and you know, but they lack that ability to defend their position. And I mean, it just took T1 to sort of use the exploit against them. And Falcons really slow decision making in that altercation with, I think it was Heather. I mean, they did an interview before. They were trolling in that interview, and I'm feeling like the trolling is bleeding into their gameplay because that was questionable.
I mean, at the end of the day, Heather, I think he knew what he was doing. He was like, I'm just going to try to pick up a little point here. Be a little bit of a, for lack of a better word, a butthead to these guys. And he drove around them in a circle. And yes, Gustav and Kickstart jumped out at the same time. And I think it just was a miscommunication. Shrimsy had the right eye. He's leaning out of the car. He knows he's not a threat.
كريزي هذا هيدر شحال عطاهم ديال لي بوين بهاد الدبابات دمروا فالكنز هنا.
When you're in the smoke, you can't see anything. We've all had this, right? The fire alarm goes off. You wake up. The whole house is dark. You try to run to the door. You smash your shins on the side table. Like, it happens.
Where are you living?
America. This is what happens. America.
I don't think I've ever really experienced that, but this
but it doesn't look like this.
This was just a mess. I don't really know what else to say. Heather, I mean, Heather played well. He managed to get 3 kills off the Falcons. Yes, they were in smoke. It was a sticky situation, but I kind of expected a different outcome. But you know what? Heather takes those.
PUBG happens.
Yeah, PUBG happens.
And the thing is that Heather just kept running into trees too. He had so much time.
This is what I said about slow decision making from the Falcons.
Well, I don't think he thought he was going to last that long. Like, honestly,
I think he was just trying to harass his 100%.
Do something before he goes down. And I think he may even thought, like, you can kill me and take this BRDM. But you're not taking me until you blow it up, kind of thing. And he was surprised. He hit the tree because he didn't think he'd make it around that circle.
And Gatsby, we were even saying, why didn't just Falcons go on top of the rocks? They could have just ended up.
Well, they couldn't go to the very top because I know they were getting shot. That's why they had so many smokes out in the first place. But I mean, to stay on the ground level, especially with that thing just circling, it's rough. They had a ditch. Look, it is what it is. I don't want to harp too much on that.
No, but I think the key here is I wouldn't call this like a call problem, and I wouldn't even call it a positioning problem. I would just say that was like a comedy of errors. It happens.
Yeah.
And that's where, like you say, PUBG happens. We go next, and that's the beautiful thing about the game, right? With your friends at home or on these teams, sometimes you drop, sometimes you have a bad match. You get back to lobby, you reset, you go again. So that's what these guys are going to do, and they're the professionals who can do it.
That being said, they at least had, I think, 7 kills in that game. They still had points. It's not like it was just a complete donut for them. So yeah, it wasn't an awful game. It just ended unfortunately.
And for Falcons, they're kind of allowed to do that because it is their first day of groups. This is only the second map. They still have a lot more to go. As we're looking at now, the overall, obviously for
ميدين تايلاند مازالهم الاولين.
yesterday, you missed out on absolute dominance from Myth, but they're currently not playing here today. We have Virtus Pro now being able to pop up. Lace Virtus Pro in third place.
نو في بي افونساو.
qualified at this point.
ميدين تايلاند تويستد مايندز بجوجهم ما لعبش اليوم، يلعبوا حتى الغدا. دونك ناقصين جوج ماتشات واخا هكاك مازال هما الاولين والثاني. سيطروا البارح.
Like I said yesterday, it was kind of like a mid-range game for them, but they're sitting up in that top 3 because they know.
نايس شادوي سبورت افونساو مزيان فول سنس تاعهم.
Because they got to the late game that time. They're at 44 points. Here's why we have the conversation.
44 نقطة راه صعيب يتقصاو
ب 44 actually end up with a decent game too. They've got 4 more to grind out that extra 20 points. Do you think they can do it, Godspeed? He's sighing. He sighed loudly. You guys couldn't hear it at home.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this lobby, as it continues to manifest, I think the teams that are better than them are going to figure it out, and I think they're going to get trapped in rotation mainly. I'm calling it now.
He was much more polite here on the desk than he was in the group.
They're going to have rotational issues. That's my guess for them.
فالكنز عندهم 12 نقطة مزيانة. جوج ماتشات 12 نقطة راه مزيانة.
You know, I ended up saying that my predictions have been going off on the pick'ems, but to be completely honest, Lace, I kind of just want to see them in the finals. I know you guys are saying that it's going to be hard, and honestly, we kind of saw that in the first game as well out of that squad, as they ended up with a big old donut on that first game. Here, being able to bounce back, but if they can maybe just string some good performances, they just might end up doing it.
Yeah, well, let's talk, if we're talking about donuts, let's talk about another team that's been sort of sending those in, and that's Na'Vi. We're 2 games in. I know it's early, but I've seen 4 points, I think, total coming out of them in 2 games. I expect better when it comes to a team like Na'Vi.
And I would agree with you, but for whatever reason, they just haven't been able to get it together. I don't know. That team, it's difficult for me to pinpoint what exactly the first 2 games. The first one, the circle was rough, right? Second one, still, it's rotations. They couldn't even make it in. So I think that's definitely something, as long as they can just, maybe the first 2 games, they weren't feeling it. Maybe they kind of had to go a little wider on their rotation than they wanted to. But either way, they should. I still think Na'Vi is okay. I'm not super worried about them.
They didn't really get to capitalize on like a many eliminations in match 1. So that was probably their sort of time to get points on the board. But yeah, game 2, I just didn't even see them show up.
I just saw Vitality's get sent in. Their last player getting, patted on the back by the coaches looked like he was masked up and not feeling great. So that could something maybe get our team on the floor to go look into. Because again, Vitality in that race needs to be on their game, and if they're doing it with a player who's not feeling at the top, like that is something that can have a massive effect on the comms. It hurts the speed of your thought. It really can get in the way.
Yeah, well, for this squad, especially for all the squads that are in Group A, you do have 4 matches left. For some of the other squads in Group C, you still got some time. Falcons will let it slide. You did end up getting 7 eliminations. I just wanted to see the Splatmaker in action once again, but I'm hearing we have something amazing with Kalaris in Avenger on the stage.
That's right. Thank you very much, guys. Of course, there's a lot of great players here, but we wanted to talk about some of the very best so far here from Esports World Cup 2026. I am with Avenger, once again, another very tall person here to talk about everything that's been going on so far, and we'd be missing the point, I think, if we didn't start with good old Kiss Magic.
Yeah, we have to talk about, of course, him coming here, changing into the French Kiss, getting 18 kills in just 6 games. Not playing today, but still leading that is just insane, right? Sure, we've just played 2 games so far today, and it's all up for grabs. After the second game, Levante actually jumped into the 2nd place of overall damage, still behind Example.
Yeah, got to hear from him just before, of course. He's able to,
he's flexing on the lobby.
He's muscling everybody out of the way. He's one of the very, very best here so far. But of course, as you say, in terms of that damage done, you don't quite have Example here to be able to keep that going. But you say, what, 2 games still in hand, and he's still able to put up those kinds of numbers?
I think Levante is something like 3,000 damage, and Example, with 2 games less played, is 3,500 something, so still leading by more than 500 damage, having played less. So yeah, crazy amount of damage done yesterday. Remember that game on Miramar where he was on the roof, fragging out, getting tons of damage, but few kills, but he was farming that game.
All right, well, that's the bronze. Let's talk about some of the brains here as well. I mean, I'm not going to stick with Twisted Minds right now. I'm not going to talk about Batulas because he's always kind of in the focus of all of that. I want to go back to Myth, because Jacob really, with what they've been able to do so far, with PGSs as well as yesterday, that's a scary formula.
Yeah, every time we talk to them, every time we hear from kids, like, yeah, they're praising him so much, the way that he's putting them into these situations where they're able to frag out and get into positions where they're 3 or 4 alive. So Jacob, very much so. For this year, I've been so impressed with him. So hopefully they can continue to push that on.
All right, well, thank you very much, Avenger here. Of course, you should keep your eyes on all of these players. It's time to go to the commentators here for our next game of the day.
Okay, got about 4 games left on the day, and 4
Let's go.
games are
Match
left in
starts.
the livelihood of a whole group. They've got to make sure that they get everything that they can get right now. We talked a lot about Levante and the capabilities, but this is a guy that's got to make sure he gets points at the end of the day.
No doubt. I mean, he's had a nice day so far. One of our top fraggers here throughout these first couple of games. So that's a nice start for Vitality and Levante, but still work to be done for sure. I mean, you can't take it easy right now. You got to keep up the pace, got to keep pushing to make sure that you finish this day as strong as possible. You don't want to leave kind of that point cutoff anywhere that feels dangerous.
And I'm scared because the desk was talking about it. Navi has been kind of non-existent so far. There's going to be a point
نافي ما لاعبينش كاع ميرامار دابا
they're going to start eating up the points around them. I mean, there is a world where maybe that Navi just doesn't have anything big that happens on the day, but that would just absolutely surprise me. AGAL needs to get something big going. We can look on the other sides of this, and if you are a Shadow fan and they are in the hunt, they only need a little bit more. They just need to find something. It's really them and Vitality. Can they find just enough to really squeak in about another 20-ish points?
Yeah, for sure. There's still hope for Shadow Esports and, you know, for Indonesia. I mean, definitely something to be said about this team and their way to at least get deep into games. Like, they're relying a bit on placement points. That's good enough to at least get you into that grand finals potentially. We'll have to wait and see. I want to talk about Navi just a little bit more because I think this is a map where they often can really start to rack in the kills. We've seen it in the past with Hakatori, and especially when he'll drop like 9-10 kills on this map, go absolutely crazy here. So definitely going to be one of those teams on this one that I am keen to see pop.
اوكي الزون الاولى كاينه شويه في الوسط تيمز كاملين تقريبا قرابين مازال عندهم شويه الوقت.
Petrichor Road is one of these squads that we're kind of thinking about is Petrichor Road. They're going to have an odd rotate into this one. It's also another squad that, I mean, since Lift has always been kind of a face for it, a lot of people are very focused in on what's going on with Petrichor Road. And so let's go ahead and hear with Ming Ming what's happening.
这张地图我最喜欢它的师城嘛，然后因为它地方城大，收的东西物资也很多嘛，然后也很肥，然后转移路线什么，我感觉也都挺好走的。你可能就像教练说的吧，然后周围其实没有什么很大的很多人嘛。 周围可能就我们的一座主城。
Quick, easy, efficient. Petrichor Road. Pull that into your game a little bit more. Quick, easy, efficient. Find some stuff, man.
That's all I play for. I just want easy and efficient. That's what I'm all about. So I'm glad to hear that. You know, one of our all-time great players in Ming Ming definitely knows what's up and definitely keeps it simple, and that's my kind of gameplay. So they start out in Impala here. But the circle went west, more Monte Nuevo. Okay.
I got a hard question for you.
Okay.
Is it good for Petrichor that they're tied up with Anyone's Legend right now, or is it bad for Anyone's Legend that they're tied for Petrichor Road?
I think their power levels aren't too far off in a lot of ways. I think it's
really really.
Here's the way I'll say.
Look at me, Asia Paper Thin, and say that sentence to me again. That you think that Petrichor Road and Anyone's Legend are comparable.
Hear me out. I think AGAL probably has a little bit more firepower, but I think the brains on Petrichor Road are maybe a little bit better.
Okay, I think I'll kind of give you that.
Yeah, I think Petrichor Road could play a little bit safer and be a little bit more reliable, but when it comes to who has the higher ceiling, it's AGAL.
Yeah, I mean, if Petrichor Road doesn't qualify, I'm not going to be hurt. If Anyone's Legend doesn't qualify, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be really surprised by it, I think.
I mean, those are two teams that I had on my radar for today. You know, when we were doing the pre-show segment with Lace, I was like, I think both of these teams have a lot to prove here today, and for various different reasons. And they're very good. You know, each team has a superstar fragger with Ming Ming on Petrichor Road and Himas on AGAL. Two players who can take over a lobby when they're feeling it. It's just we haven't quite seen that big pop-off from either of them yet.
How stylish is it? Of course, it's Levante in the Golden Mirage.
He just looks great.
He's just flexing on everybody.
Yeah, it's a natural fit for the man. I think we should find a way to get him a gold car in real life, yeah?
Okay, we're going to have Vicious in the center of the circle. JDG is December 12th, also kind of getting over there. The area east of Monte Nuevo is getting a lot of
اظن دابا بدات تسد. فالكنز هنا يطلقوا مع تي 1.
Vicious going is going to be 17. North of that, T1 Falcons, a little bit of vitality over there as well.
نقسم يردوا بالهم.
To the north of it is going to be Supers. To the south is going to be Navi. But
أنا تي 1 نيدز.
Navi and JDG right along the road.
نيد واعر هنا.
Did 40 damage to E-End, so the Falcons trying to put some pressure onto T1, but this is the strong side of T1. They're in a 1-3 split with Reigning quite far ahead of the rest of them. And Falcons is
هنا فالكنز يدخلوا غيبوشيو كونتر ايند. ايند صعيب يسرفايف هذا البوش هذا. كاين بعد في هذا البيلدين.
I'm scared. It's Heather on the side of all players for Falcons to be going against right after that last round. Heather, though, not finding the opportunities they got inside that last game just quite yet.
نساق مول ديك الدبابه ديال هيدر ما يتفكوش معاهم فاش يعرفوا نايس مولوتوف ونوكا هيدر دابا غيحاول يعاون صاحبو تايب جاي من اللور تيكلتن هلو بزاف وان شوت تيكلتن نوكت
T1 players on the outside. Tig's gonna go down, so you've sacrificed Tig to get control of the building. Can you get anything else?
Gustav confirm الكيل على ايند وتايب confirm الكيل على تيكلتن. فالكنز دابا مزيرين. هيدر هنا جاب نوك على جوستاف.
Man, Heather is just like Falcons kryptonite right now.
هيدر عاوزاني مرض فالكنز ولكن يقدروا مازال يريفايفيو عشيرهم.
Dancing around the outside of this, maybe Sharper could go for a wrap back.
كريزي هنا كيدير لهم. هنا لاحوا لهم البلو. فالكنز ار اليمينيتد. تي 1 سيطروا. برافو عليهم. اللي كيداروا له صاحت.
They could even potentially get a revive. There is that station that's just to the north of this that they could go for. We do have Vitality who eventually made their way over here, but if they were looking to try to third party this fight, they are a little bit too late. They will at least be able to take the space for all the trouble that T1 just went through. And Falcons as well, out early again, a tough go of it.
شو نقتلوا صحابهم فيتاليتي. نوكا صحابهم.
Okay, whose fault is that? The person driving the car, I'm assuming?
I mean, we were just bigging up Levante in his cool car, and then he does that.
I mean, look, when you're vibing and you're just kind of like rolling around, yeah, you know, sometimes.
Maybe he's hating.
Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, are we see me rolling. Hating. Okay. Showing age here as Petrichor Road is going to be wrapping down to the south. Full Sense is going to have the upper area of Chumacera under control, but nobody else really holding down Chumacera. Monte Nuevo is going to be Tai Lu, and then it's going to be Brickyard for AGAL. Most of the other squads kind of a bit spattered across the hillside.
I'm very curious about Shadow Esports way up on the north doing a very wide wrap, but that's off map, and that's kind of like them playing for Circle 2, you know, trying to get a pre-rotation in potentially. You know, 17 and kind of a normal split in the center.
T1 هنايا غادي نوصل العاصفة.
Along the Picado Mountains on the south edge of the power grid. Meanwhile, Petrichor Road trying to get in their cars a little bit earlier, see what's available around the edge of Chumacera and potentially a little bit further forward.
So we have two different ways that we can kind of see this going. Well, really three. If we pull back over to power grid, that's going to favor Vitality, T1, Supers, and their positioning. Go more of that Chumacera staying center area. Really, that's going to make the power grid players a bit sadder as they're going to have to come down from the hillside. And we go power grid, so that means that this is what I was afraid of. Look down into the southwest. All those squads are now going to be wrapping into a more open area of that power grid hillside to the west. I mean, sure, there's a couple of trenches, or you have to commit back in the lower sections around Picado Graveyard. This is really weird because we've got that giant hillside that comes south from San Martin leading into Picado.
Yeah, this is a tough circle because like you're talking about, Matt, that area in between Monte Nuevo and Picado, you want to take space early, take compounds early, because if it ends in there, like you were mentioning, that it becomes really difficult if you don't have a compound to fight through that part of the map. But now there's a lot of mountain in place, so there's actually quite a bit that teams have to work with. Ukarux is getting tagged up just a little bit by Na'Vi from range. This has opened up an opportunity for JD Gaming to keep on keeping on. There were some helicopters up in the air, some emergency pickups being thrown into the mix, but maybe AGAL the only one who's going to commit.
17 heading back home to Picado after being gone for all of a circle.
هو قدروكس انا جاب نوك على اي اند شي ونقدروا يريفايفيو عشيرهم يرجعوا عشيرهم للجيم البلو تشيب ولكن دابا راه نوكت.
going for more of an approach onto that lower hillside coming out of Power Grid to the west, as well as Tai Lu taking control over that just a bit before them.
I want to talk about where Sharper is right now in relation to kind of the circle and how much control they have. I mean, they have San Martin all the way down to halfway into this phase 2.
ياخذوا لي انفورماسيون على بنادم اللي قريب ليهم.
They're very spread out though, so there is opportunity maybe for a wide wrapping team to punish them, but if nobody does, I would expect that Sharper is going to get pretty darn deep into this game potentially and look to, you know, do some real damage here, but we'll have to wait and see. T1 does end up getting back up to their full strength. Now they did have a knock on the outside of the Power Grid area there, and there's that emergency pickup. So this is, where does AGAL go? This is what I'm looking at. Sharper, if they can keep AGAL from getting in the middle of everything and causing problems.
هنا AGAL داروا emergency pickup.
Was it enough to get the knock? They do manage to make landfall. So a great position right above Jinji on one side. Well, I say a great position. It's at least a safe position now, and it gets them away from all of those crazy wraps that they wanted to do. I mean, is this just the solution? Anyone's Legend, their rotates have just been detrimental. Let's just call it honestly, every single game. So maybe emergency pickup, just crash somewhere and get control over it and just start fighting your way out of that.
As you can see, AGAL recognizing that their eastern edge is dangerous, so they have to put up those smokes so they can try and find a way to not fall underneath Sharper's grasp. You know, they're worried about players getting into grenade range there. Jedi looking to see if he can get anything, but right now AGAL going to use those rocks nicely. The problem is staying on that edge of the rocks can be a little bit tricky. You can find some holes to hide in for sure as AGAL.
Emergency pickup. واحدة أخرى.
More problems for everybody on the outside.
جوج emergency pickup.
It sucks to be you. VP, they're going to be on a
واحدة من JDG.
the VC side of all of this. Navi is just going to be the other side of that. Full sense tail in. Petrichor Road just full on send as JDG airborne for the time being. And good old Shadow going to be back behind it all. Looks like VP is going to go for a more northern wrap, try to bounce around the western.
VP يحاولوا يديروا روتيشن كبيرة برا الزون. فيتاليتي جابوا كيل على JDG.
Levante got the kill as they were parachuting in. Yeah, indeed. So that is a rough go of it for them. They're trying to just find something inside the circle. Now there's a few dips and dives on the outside.
Oh, هنا نافي غيبوشيو JDG. Oh no, JDG. Oh, دوماج. JDG داروا بزاف دامج لنافي في الأول. قدروا ينوكيو لعاب ولكن خسروا لعابة ديالهم ثلاثة اللي كانوا باقيين.
Behind your sails for this match, for this day. Here comes some mortars. They're not even going to land on screen. Hitting behind all of this. VP is making
نافي خصهم ضروري هذا الماتش يربحوا بغاو يبقوا قرابين للتأهل. يجيبوا التوب 5 مينيموم.
Meanwhile, I really like this from VP. They had two options there. They could have gone for the emergency pickup. I think if the circle had gone east, maybe they had done that. Instead, they want to go north because they realize that there's going to be some open space up there that they could rotate into.
Well, we were talking about VP as well as Jinji going for that more northern wrap. They are going to be right next to each other now as Jinji is going to stop off.
Jinji هنا غادي يتلاقوا مع VP.
In front of them with Vicious going more north to get away from the firing lines that were happening down to the south. That's going to get even dicier as there is nowhere for Shadow to go, and they're going to be bumping into full sense down in the south. This is the test for me with Shadow. This is a circle that is very hard to deal with. If they can find points and a way to get into it, this might be proving that they deserve to qualify.
They're at least able to punch back here.
هنا full sense Marshall Sports.
You know, for Shadow, kind of a tough couple circles where they were trying to make some, you know, later rotations to see if they could catch a hard shift. Instead, it hard shifted away from them. So now they have to do a little bit of fighting But again, good news is you at least made Full Sense pay the price. He took one away, and Full Sense does have one player in the circle. Tigger is there. Let's take a look at how this happened. Maybe there's the crash from Na'Vi. I mean, just out of the cars, and a lot of dead players from JD Gaming on the ground. You're right, Ferris.
صحيح لو قدروا يشفروا الكيل للجي دي جي
Overall, just a clean drive.
على نافي.
It gives them center of the circle in a great position on the outskirts of Power Grid to work with pretty much whatever they want.
ليفان تاخذ نوك هنا على لعب نافي وياند قتل سينا لاعب ديال سينا.
All of it is Power Grid yet again being the focal point and Vitality, just loving every moment of it.
Oh man, maybe
تيون دابا عندهم 5 الكيلز
we get a little death match going there. In the end, that would be
for the round.
fun. I think. Let's see, VC circling the wagons, looking for an opportunity, but really they don't have a ton. They've got a little bit of safety at the bottom of the hill, and Tycon up in the top in a shack. Not ideal. You got to kind of play a little bit of defense around the backside to make sure that you can't jam enough players in there. Really, one is only going to be safe.
I mean, the way that this is set, we've got some very big rotates that we're going to be looking at. 17's got to force their way into the circle, and that's going to be kind of close to the supers. I don't think they can really avoid that. AGAL has to force their way in a much more open section of the circle over into the east, where Sharper has been holding them back for quite a while. And then down into the southwest, we've got Shadow, we've got Tyloo and Petrichor Road. Yes, there's a couple of ridgeline sneaky areas that they can play, but it's also a lot dicier because they could be in much closer range and a bigger fire range, most notably, than I think any of these teams want to be.
تحرك
17 might actually find the northernmost warehouse.
Well, they're running right into
they're
Sharper.
going right into Sharper. Sharper gonna have an opportunity here. AGAL might have some vision into 17, who's trying to figure out
خدم
anything that's
بالبيكاكس
safe. Meanwhile,
باش
Powell is
يحاول
gonna make his own safety, taking a little bit of a foxhole there.
ياخذ شي بوزيسيون مزيانه.
Makes their rep. Petrichor Road also managed to get very close to Powell, so maybe that dig-in could be important for him in just one moment. Shots now starting to come out on the 17 on all of their approach over there. Jin Ji is also going to be the new target of 17 in the
ايجيل جابوا نوك على 17 وجنجي شفر لهم الكيل.
now stacked up. Jin Ji going to be right in front of them. They did at least manage to
اوه جنجي
as well as anyone's legend, but Jin Ji, where are you going to play this one? They've got to be careful. They don't want to overpeak because it's going to be T1 with
ارجع.
Yeah, those are good shots though by Soul. He did more damage than he took there, so he's at least able to afford himself the opportunity to move.
كيف هاتشو مع 17 وكاين الجهة الأخرى T1.
Get out of that as best as he could. Get a better firing line from the rest of his team. Meanwhile, VP cutting in towards Full Sense.
FS هنايا
Trying to dive into the power grid proper. Nixie running out of
يحاولوا يهربوا. ما كانش عندهم بوزيسيون مزيانة الصراحة. كانوا في الوسط. اوه في بي هنا كاين اوكي لعب فول سنس وكويزي ديال فيتاليتي كيشفر له الكيل.
Henzi he's gotten all the way into Power Grid by himself. The other players for Shadow are right on top of Tyloo, and it looks like they're just full on stealth as Tyloo's literally driving over them right now.
I mean, I wouldn't think that would be possible, but it is. I mean, they've done it, and
شادو هنا جابوا النوك على تايلو. جيكسي جاب جوج النوكس دابا. 17 نوكاو لعب جنجي. في بي هنا كيجيبوا اول كيل ديالهم. اوه بيرو صعيب يسرفايفي هاد البلاصه هادي. بيرو قدر يجيب نوك على سوبرز.
But I don't know how Petrichor Road can fight their way into this. There's just too many squads around them, holding too many angles. If they fight their way into this, they're gonna have back behind them. If they try to go east, it's just going to be BC holding them out.
Yeah, Rex is driving way on the southern edge of this right now. DL was watching from the high ground, giving a little bit of
هنا ريكس
quite get there in time. Yeah, so he's going to go down.
كيموت بالبلو. بيرو كياخذ ديك الكيل. فيرس برو كياخذوا هنا جوج الكيلز. اوه تايلو ار اوت. سوبرز كيعاني وهنا.
And what angle of approach you go for. VP with nowhere to go, they're going to run back down into the Shadow defensive line. Good shots going to find on
Shadow Esports جابوا كيل على
but you can see
VP سوبرز نوكاو بيرو وفيسي كيشفروا لهم الكيل. بعيد النيد.
Oh, actually, I think Hansi is getting some damage into the backside of Virtus Pro here, who are trying to fight tooth and nail. This is kind of turned into a tricky situation.
شبكات.
Looked like maybe they could have taken a favorable fight.
فرقي كاملين مجموعين هنا. شادو سبور جابوا كيل هنا على اللاعب في بي. فيرتس برو بقاو لهم 3 لعابة دابا جابوا بيرو ار اوت. في بي يجيبوا لك واحدة أخرى على شادو سبور. في بي من بعد الوين اللي جابوا الماتش اللي داز مسيطرين حتى في هذا الماتش هذا. خاسرين لاعب ولكن لاعبين مزيان. هنا شادو سبورت خسروا 2 لعابة بالزون. شادو سبورت غالبا يخرجوا من الفرقة الجاية اللي غادي تموت. بقى منهم لاعب واحد. في سي هنا نوكاو 2 لعابة ديال في بي كيغاليريو كيموتوا. في بي من بعد الوين خرجوا في المركز 11 هذا الماتش هذا، ولكن جابوا 6 الكيلز 6 نقاط مزيانة. في بي 69 نقطة غالبا غادي يتأهلوا الفينال، ضمنوا التأهل ديالهم.
Now going to finally have to make a move. The circle has kind of kept that compound in for some time, so they're making some fortifications that they can, but these are outside of the new zone. There is a little bit of ability to potentially go into that northernmost warehouse where I think the supers are going to go right now.
AGL جابوا نوك هنا على 17.
AGL on foot. Looking to maybe do some damage on the edge. Clear 17 out before they
باغيين يبوشيو تيم ديال 17 هنايا يكونفيرميو الكيلز وكليريو التيم كامله، ولكن خصهم يردوا بالهم حيت كاين جينجي من الجهه الاخرى. جينجي فوالا جينجي جاب الكيل هنا على جاب النوك هنا على تي 1. تي 1 هنا غيخصهم يردوا البال. 17 جاب النوك على جينجي. جينجي كيتريديو جيبوا 2 النوكس. ايان كينوكي لعب ديال جينجي. هنا جينجي غادي 17 اوت. جينجي تا هما غادي يخسروا، بقى ملاعب واحد لو بزاف. جينجي هما خرجوا في المركز 9. برافو عليهم تي 1 سيطروا جابوا الكيل الثامنه ديالهم وكليراو 2 ديال التيمز. بعد ما كانوا ديجا خرجوا فالكنز. تي 1 كيخرجوا التيم الثالث في هذا الماتش.
potentially to get outside of that warehouse and lock it down if it does a hardship to the west again. AGAL swinging back down towards Sharper now, looking to take more fights, looking to rake in more kills. They've only gotten 1 here for being so fighting so heavily out on this edge for so long. That's not much considering the caliber of this team. And Tanawat putting him back down, and he's getting shot from a bunch of different angles. It's EN who gets the knock.
A lot of squads that need big games.
AGL هنا كيعانيو، بقاو منهم غير 2 لعابة واحد نوكت. كيك كتكونفيرما على AGL. نوك واحدة أخرى. AGL مشاو للزبل، بقى عندهم لاعب واحد. كلشي عارف بلاصتو، غالبا غادي يتوفى ويخرجوا هما الثامنين. هنا جرينيد من تي 1. تي 1 كيحاولوا يكليريو حتى AGL. تي 1 وصلوا الكيل 10 دابا. AGL ار اوت. بس بعد فرقي دابا بزاف ديال نيدز كونتر في سي. جرينيدز واعرين، ولكن قدروا يسرفايفيو.
running into the face of Sharp or realizing the way that this circle's popped they want to go for, but then what's going to defend, EM's going to go down. Hector's got eyes on the VC trying to get control of the southern area.
اوه هنا نوك على تي 1 جوج نوكس.
Everything in the center. We also have movement happening for Vitality, going to be keeping eyes on what's going to be going on with
فيتاليتي كينوكيو سوبرز بالنيد تي 1 بقولهم جوج لعابه اللي اللايف سوبرز ار اوت. تي 1 بقى لهم لعب واحد. تي 1 كيخسروا طوماج المركز السادس بعد ما كانوا مسيطرين. جابوا ديجا 10 الكيلز. برافو عليهم، ماتش واعر لعبوا. شادو سبورت دابا باقي لهم لعاب واحد.
How long can Shadow solo survive and how much can Vitality get here? The solo is going to be creeping up in the warehouses around Power Grid while Vitality just wants to make sure
شادو سبورت بقى لهم لعاب واحد ومازال مسرفايفين بسخوت.
control over the circle itself. But really, it's going to be Vitality and point totals that we're going to be keeping an eye on. As
اوه هنا غيموت. فيتاليتي شافوه.
That's going to be all she wrote for Shadow. At least managed to make it into placements. Very decent. But here's our top four.
Sound cues gave that away. I could see Hello My Bad tracking him.
توب فور نافي فيتاليتي شاربر اي سبورت او في سي.
long enough from Vitality's detection to get any further into this one. Decent salvage game again, up to 50 points here for Shadow Esports. So they very much could be in that grand finals. They're on pace to get there. They get 6 points in this game, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, and that's plenty to continue to have the point pace you need to find yourself playing in the last 3 days here.
هنا تيمز كاملين ولاو دابا وسط الزون. شاربر كيتارجيتيو نافي كيجيبو كيل. نافي دابا بقى لهم غير جوج لعابه اللايف.
He's in a vulnerable spot. He goes for the peek onto it. Sharper going to be trying to put the damage in. That unlocks VC to counter-wrap to the south of this. Navi's position that they were playing from was so strong, but VC's got a man advantage on position. And this has also drawn all the attention down to the south and allowed Vitality to get out Power Grid.
نافينا صعيب سرفايفيو. غالبا غيموتوا. في لا كاتريم بوزيسيون.
Clicked on the head once, just needs a couple more bullets to land there, but there's pressure from Vitality.
اوه نافي خرجوا من الرابعين.
Doing some heavy lifting there in front. Sharper needs to recover.
فيتاليتي خسروا لعاب. شاربر تاهم خسروا لعاب.
Sharper down to the south. It's going to be VC and Vitality that wanted to go for the center. Maybe balled off a little bit too much. They're going to retreat, try to get Gadrox back up, as it looks like it is going to be a 4v4v3 to end this all out.
This is a key game for Vitality.
فيتاليتي غيقدروا يرفايفوا صاحبهم.
If they can get the win, they're going to be feeling a lot more comfortable about that grand finals positioning. Sharper, VC have something to say about it. VC's looked really good to me, taking some really nice fights, being really disciplined with holding their line, not giving up some of that space. You know, their spacing's been really good. That's the biggest thing here for VC. They're not opening themselves up to some opportunities to get just, you know, fragged out, shot down. They're being really proactive.
Saw Quizzy with a mask on, and we also saw him in between rounds with that mask, seeming like he doesn't feel the best right now. Getting a good game here is going to make it a lot easier whenever you're feeling sick. So Hello My Bad with eyes on to Earth's positioning. BC, though, just using the standoff in the north to take more control over everything. Tycon going to be the guy leading the way. Sharper one side.
فيتاليتي غيبداو يتحركوا.
On to Vitality. Vitality doesn't have much.
يخدموا بزاف ديال يوتيليتي هنا. تارجيتيو اس بي.
He does get the knock on the Levante, and that is a big knock onto Vitality.
اوه فيتاليتي كون كلهم ليفانتي.
Hello My Bad now also under duress.
Great read here from Sharper, knowing that there wasn't going to be much of an opportunity for VC to swing the other way through, but Tanawa.
اوه هنا شاربر كيبوشيو. VC يقدروا ينوكيو جيدروكس. لعب ثاني فيتاليتي. اوه فيتاليتي ار اوت في المركز الثالث. VC جابوا الكيل الخامسه ديالهم في الماتش وغالبا غيجيبوا الوين. اس بي قالوا بجوج لعابه وبجوجهم في بلاصه وحده. غالبا غيحاولوا يموتوا بالزون باش ما يعطيوش الكيل الفي سي. اوه في سي يقدروا يجيبوا كيل وحده. برافو جي جي في سي. وبرافو حتى الفيتاليتي اللي قدروا يرجعوا في الماتش.
where they had Tycon up in the shack and 3 players down below him to guard it, because that's a really tricky position to defend if somebody gets underneath that shack. So really like their setup and the way they're able to use that to catapult themselves into the late game.
But it's the big game for Vitality. They need more still. They want to qualify. We love Levante and that crew. And this was such a late game performance coming up from them. Shadow also making it place overall after what was a little bit of a dicier start on everything. They understand what the win conditions are for them to succeed in here, but can they keep it up with 3 more games on the day?
It's a great question. I'm very impressed that they just kind of keep chugging along. You know, they're the little engine that could here at EWC, and seems like they may be able to get to that finish line, at least to go into the grand finals. But also Sharper, again, I talked about it in the very beginning of this game, around phase 2, where they had complete control over that northern edge of the circle. And that's the reason one of the reasons they're into this game later as it goes, because they have so much space to maneuver. Even when a hard shifts away from them, they still have so much control that they have, you know, the ability to recover from those ping-ponging circles and things like that. And they do precisely that. Like, they're playing out in the open really, really well.
And again, a lot of my focus today has just been on Group A. Where do they end the day point total-wise? Because they aren't going to be playing tomorrow. So whenever we have some squads like Sharper that are popping off, the focus for me is just how do the squads around them and Vitality find any form of successes? Is they're just going to be having to sit and wait and watch tomorrow? Oh, that is just so nerve-wracking to have to do. This is absolutely ridiculous, but we're going to go ahead and try to get game number 4 all set up. We'll be back in just one moment.
We booked Esports World Cup up.
A lot of people are haunted by their past. I'm inspired by it.
They're not just playing for themselves, they're really playing for their entire family.
They have defeated their demons! They have crushed the curse!
Oh, hello. We are here for the Sony Media Tour at the backstage of the Esports World Cup 2026. So let's take a look at everything that's going on, as we have got some of our players already getting their hero shots done as well. As you can see here, made in Thailand, 2 times BGS champions. Look at the size of that tripod. Whoa! For such a small phone. Size does matter. All right, let's take a look a little bit further on. Kiss, what a legend, what a legend. Maybe we'll chat to him a little later on. Let's move on further down, of course, though, as we've got a lot more other stuff going on. I can see Team Liquid in the distance here, getting all of their media sorted. We're getting a lot of introductions into how all these players are setting up, how their feeling is for the tournament as a whole, of course. And you can see they're getting mic'd up as well. I think I'm going to be talking about some stuff. A very different setup here for Esports World Cup 2026. As you can see, another lovely stage. And over to my right-hand side as well. Actually, I could even sign this myself. This is for all of the players to sign as they do come along. But right next to, don't know who that is. I'll just put myself right there. The real goat of esports. So we can now make a little bit of a move on into the quiet zone. Come in. All right. Whoa. Spooky. All right, as you can see, as is signified over here by the quiet zone. Pay close attention, because we're going to be on a little bit of a trip, an excursion through the quiet zone to see exactly what is going on. A wild Avenger. A wild kiss. Exactly. Right, let's take a look at what's going on in here as well. As you can see. Oh, sorry. You can see Parasaurus over there is getting ready to do something. He's about to say something incredibly stupid, but maybe, just maybe, we'll get a glimpse of it later on. All right, let's take a look in what's going on in here as well, in the quiet zone, and peek in. As, hey, we've got Avenger there, and we also have Virtus Pro, Beamy and Lookrooks, being briefed, apparently, on what they need to do here. All right, more here in the media area, as we do have ourselves, hey, the Falcons boys! We got Shrimsy and Kickstart. How are you doing, man?
Sir. I'm doing fantastic, and you?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Feeling great.
Awesome. I love the pajamas. They're awesome. All right, let's get these boys in here. We're going to film a little bit of media with these guys as well, as we're going to have them guess some of the plays from previous tournaments. Anyway, that does it here for the media tour as a whole. So I'm going to get on with the Falcons, boys, and we'll see you next time. All right, guys. It's going to be the quietest. All right, let's try that again. Absolutely not. Absolutely. One more opportunity to see players in their natural habitat. Nothing. Spectacular scenes here at the Esports World Cup.
Welcome back, as we have decided to just go and explore Paris a little bit more. We find ourselves on the rooftop of Novotel. Shout out to them for actually letting us use this spot because it's amazing. But as we have hit the halfway point of PUBG Battlegrounds at EWC 26 group stages, honestly, we got to recap a little bit what's been going on. We just saw the Vicious being able to get a chicken dinner. But if we go back to day one, I mean, that storyline was just straight up myth.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what we're doing, if we're saying let's take that halftime, let's look at where we're sitting in the tournament right now. Myth and Pacific Twisted Minds we can get to. These two are insane, but Myth, 3 wins on one day is unheard of, and the fact that they could come back and do it again tomorrow, let me say, every legend starts with Myth, and these guys are close to taking that title for themselves. Name change in the future, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they sort of started out after match 5 at like about a 7.2 elim average, which is it's not bad, okay? That is exceptional. But before that, they're actually on a 5.5, and that was because of the several chicken dinners that they have and that amazing match 6 where they got like 5 eliminations and that win. And I mean, that's exactly why this team is bringing it home.
They are going to be bringing it home. And the scary part, if you're a Myth fan too, or if you're just scared of Myth, what they're performing, is that today they're getting a break. Yeah. Today they're getting a chance to see what everybody from Group C is going to be doing. And Myth is just looking at them like, all right, chill. Let me see what you guys got going on because we're going to come in hot tomorrow.
And they got no stress. I mean, the fact of the matter is we've played 3 games so far, and Myth and Twisted Minds still haven't been caught by the 9-game teams, right? Like VP, yeah, they're having an okay catch-up time, but they still haven't closed the door on those 2. Like, it is crazy how far ahead Myth was at the end of yesterday.
Yeah, for some of the other teams, we talked about it earlier, but we need to touch base as we're kind of recapping everything here. Full Sense finally ends up showing up. They get a win today, but they need to start being more consistent because now they're going to be going into their final 3 matches, and if that consistency is not there, tomorrow they're just going to be sitting down, watching the show list, just biting them nails.
Yeah, I mean, today is all for them, so they need to really do something there. I mean, it was a little surprising, I guess, from the first kind of group stages that we had, but, you know, they do know what's ahead of them and what they need to pick up on, and look, it's an okay job, I feel. Like, it needs to be a little bit more aggressive, I feel.
The problem is when you look at the leaderboard right now, you think, oh, maybe they're okay, maybe they're in 7th, but you got to remember, they have 3 games up on 16 of our teams, and that is time that has to be made up somewhere. So for those teams, even Shadow, our defending world champions, everybody who's got those 9 games played, just because they look like they're in a good rank now doesn't mean it carries over, which is even more stress-laced because that means they don't know what happens tomorrow. They have to put up, I would say, easily 12 to 15 points higher than they expect to make sure that they are still guaranteed the advance.
Could you just imagine playing this and then watching the games just from your hotel room going, oh, did we make it enough? Did we make it enough? I mean, it's crunch time right now, but yeah, I would not want to be in that position. They definitely need to amp it up.
If they have the Novotel view, honestly, it might not be that bad.
You're not wrong. Actually, I know teams who, when they're in that situation on the 3rd day, they'll just go to lunch, or they'll take a day at the zoo, or they'll do something like that. Their coach obviously is like watching the whole time to give them updates, but I've met teams who are like, you know what, we don't even look until the very end, and then let's enjoy our day. Let's not have that stress looming over us.
How about some of the other squads that have came in today? 17 Gaming. I mean, they've been putting up some points. We just saw what Team 1 was able to do in the last one, and they ended up eliminating Falcons early on as well.
Yeah, I was sort of touching on this. Like, we looked at match 2, and obviously Heather just being able to pop that grenade into their situation, and it looks like T1 is just clipping the Falcons' wins at the moment, because coming out of match 3, it was just an obliteration from them too.
I mean, they're from my region. I love the Falcons, boys, but this has been a very rough start. Now, I'm not going to write them off. How many times have we seen the Falcons sort of thrive up and go full phase Sunday, if you will, on that last performance day? So I'm not going to write them off yet, but it's been a very tough run for them. T1 looks so good. To be as high up on the board as they are, 13th place with only 3 games played at 30 points, that's the same track line that we had Twisted Minds and Myth on yesterday. So these guys can feel very comfortable.
Another team that's in that same situation in regards to what we were talking about, being in that Group A, maybe not performing that well. AGAL. You got to remember, for AGAL, this squad, yes, you have been able to step it up a little bit, but it hasn't been to the point that we expected to, right? You're thinking about insane players that they have in that roster. Hey, Mass, we need to be able to see them being able to bring it up. So you know what? I think it's time. We want to continue talking on. We might stay here at the top of Novotel a little bit longer, but for now, I want to see what's going to be happening at the stage.
But Bosh, it is time, of course, as we have a few more games coming up here for the halftime. But we want to kind of touch on exactly what was going on really there. For the Vicious, I mean, you've got Tycon finally being able to step on up back on the international stage here, Match. I'm always good to see Tycon.
I mean, dude, you gotta love Tycon. I always have like mental images of that clutch that he managed to do where he got like, what is it, like 8, 9 kills, 10 kills by himself, and then clutched out the game. I got in trouble because I think I said some naughty words at the end of that cast, but I mean, it deserved. Tycon's that good of a player, so it's great to have him back in the forums.
Yeah, look, and especially you and I had casted Tycon, I think, in one of his first games, right? And we go back to those times we said, hey, this kid's going to be a superstar. Now I'm hoping he has the team behind him. And so far, the way they played that south edge, the way that they kind of pushed Vitality out, they watched for the other team coming across, which of course was sharper, and they were able to capitalize. And winning that game is going to be a huge boost of confidence for them as well.
To think the first time in Fantasy that we ever played, and Tycon was a sub on that during 10K. Do you remember?
He was the cheapest.
Didn't you also pick him up like super early and rub it in our faces?
I may have heard.
Sounds like something James would do. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've got my ear to the ground, as it were. But let's.
You're so low. You should. Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, because you're so much shorter than me. I'm going to enjoy this job.
I don't know if I should be speaking.
Let's talk about some of those teams that are on the bubble here for this one. Of course, as you've got teams like Tyloo, AGAL, and Petrichor Road all really needing to step up. It does feel like Tyloo's probably done here, though.
I think Tyloo is done, unfortunately. I mean, even if they have an incredible last 3 games, they're still going to be behind by a full 6 games on the other group coming back in. On top of that, I haven't seen anything from them that makes me think they're going to do it.
Final thoughts?
Same. I mean, Tyloo's just not getting there. Petrichor Road finds something. Anyone's legend, pull a trigger, man.
Yeah.
Please, AGL, I'm begging you.
Just shoot. That's all
the kind of team that can have 30-point games in the past. We've seen it before. It's time to head on over to the commentators here for game number 4 of day 2.
Hello, friends. It is I, Porosaurus, joining Mr. Avenger on the cast for these final 3 games of Groups A versus C. And it is last chance saloon for those teams in Group A that may need to make that cut line, which is looking very, very difficult for some of these squads.
Yeah, the fact is, I think we're going to be sending 2 or 3 teams home, and they're going to be having no chance, even being outside that top 6 team. The bottom 8, of course, are going to have their dreams crushed in our crusher. But yeah, 3 more games to go here for them. And we're going to be kicking it off on Rondo, Paul. What's your thoughts on this?
Never would buy a condo there.
Okay, too much violence there? Or
Too much violence, too loud.
Right.
I got a dog, you know, he's just
I need sleep.
Barking all the time. But yeah, not a great map to want to start on if you really need to make a push to get some things going here, especially if you're looking at what we were talking about Tyloo. We were talking about who are some of the other Group A teams that we've got our eyes on here.
Virtus Pro's not playing more of these 3's next one here. Tyloo, AGAL, Team Vitality, Supers, Full Sense, Petrichor Road, and Shadow has their last 3 maps to be played here at Esports World Cup 2026 in Paris. And honestly, on Rondo here, back over to Tego, and then on Wrangle, finishing things up. We were talking about the hypothetical cutoff line yesterday, Paro.
Yes.
I said 55-60. I think 55 is going to be plenty safe, considering how much points the top have taken. It took Virtus Pro 3 more games to catch up, and they have now tied Twisted Minds on that 69 points. Nice.
Yep, nice. Virtus Pro has been having a bang-up day, for sure, as has Vitality. As has, who else have had a good day? T1. T1 has been popping off today. 30 points on the day so far. But, yeah, I mean, still work left to be done, obviously. But with 3 more maps to go, I think those guys could be feeling a little bit more confident.
Yeah, we're giving a little bit of a hard time to Falcons here, but the fact is there is 6 teams below them that have had worst performance. That is Gen G, it's Na'Vi, and it's AGL. But let's hear what Tyloo has to say.
船厂的仓库物资比较丰富，然后转移的路线会比较偏多一点。
Well, there you go.
Yeah. It's a short interview, and it's also been a short pleasure of them today. Unfortunately, 1 point in 3 games. 19 points yesterday. They're on 20. Currently very, very far down the leaderboard. It's going to be a little bit rough for them. Sure, there are some other teams that have obviously only played 3 games so far. Na'Vi, Gen G, AGL, Petrichor Road, and JDG have also a very low amount of points today here. 12, 12, 10. It's somewhat low after 3 games, but then again, we've seen it before, Paul. We have seen these chicken dinners with double digits, and it can definitely be happening for JDD here with a Jiaotin home turf circle for them. They've only had 7 points so far today. This is their game. This is their chance to turn that around.
Yeah, this is, you know, we were having discussions in the green room prior to the game and talking about teams like Tyloo. You know, China as a region have delivered some very impressive performances this year so far. The switch to TPP obviously working out really nice for Petrichor Road for 4 a.m. But it feels like that region is getting very top heavy. And once you get past, you know, Petrichor 4 a.m. 17, it starts getting a little loosey-goosey down there as to how much success you're going to see from them at an international level.
Yeah, and 17 Gaming has had uncontested spots most of the time throughout the day here. They only have 2 more points than Falcons. They've not had the best of games so far, and they have fantastic loot. But for this circle here, they have a pretty easy entry towards that central stadium area here. JDD's always getting ready, and they're already taking some of the best spots right now, looking to see if that gas station is free already. AGL coming in from that northwest side over to Bailey. They're going to have quite the space here, and considering how far northwest this circle is, Poro, I'm really wondering how many teams are going to try to backfill it. You know, we have Falcons in the north, sure, they're going to come in from that, but how many teams are going to try to swing around?
You typically see this on stadium circles like this, where everybody immediately tries to send. You see such a cluster towards the center because those positions of power, those strong positions, are come at such a premium that these teams are willing to make those high risk, high reward sends right towards the dead center early because they're so convinced that it is going to end up paying off for them. So we'll see now that we're getting a little bit later in. It's 4.5 minutes. That's late at this point in a circle like this, but so many teams still outside, still fighting their way in. It's going to be interesting to see how many try to go and still send towards that center or who will just kind of play around the fringes.
Yeah, about half these teams already looking at how can we get into this circle, try to get some of the priority here. And also, let's break it to you guys. Rondo in general, especially for land ratio, this area has so much unplayable terrain that is counted in land ratio. It has water, it has these high ground, it has these pillars. Now with this, that we don't have land ratio, we're gonna have some wild circles. We could be ending on straight next to the rocks on stadium. It's gonna be really interesting to see how the teams apply the strategies that has changed just since this meta has just updated just a month ago.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to keep an eye on as we see the stadium already starting to get a little bit compacted here. Mr. Guman all by himself as Vitality is arriving. The rest of the supers nowhere near here, so Guman
leaving.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah,
be pretty quick on the trigger there, and trying to get out. And he's just going to go ahead and rejoin Mr. Rex.
That's an alpha move, to be honest. You just 4-man roll up into stadium, assuming that the team that's looting there is already spread out, split out to some of these compounds on other priorities that we have here. T1 rolling in, try to get topped around. That actually works. So. Someone's going to be able to take that later on. And he leaves it. He doesn't want it. You want the electric bus. You want the Dacia. Want to get that rolling.
Not creeping up on anybody anytime soon, right? Well, this is actually kind of surprising to me that this compound in particular is just completely wide open. Whoa! You see, there you go, Winbo. Nice shots there to start things off. But yeah, 17 just kind of coming in a little bit on the later side, but are, again, as we were talking about earlier, sending it really close towards center. Not playing around on the periphery because they know the likelihood is that this area is going to be in now, and you want to get something hard cover that you can play. You don't want to be forced into playing any open areas this early.
Yeah, I actually thought Suse from JVG is going to take that gas station, but yeah, 17 just rolling in aggressively, taking that. We've seen so many endings close to that, and you know, the ridges just south of it, but that was because of land ratio. We had so much circles went away from that stadium area because you had all these pillars, all these high grounds around it, right? But here, that might change. We can see it go absolutely anywhere, and it's going to be amazing. We've seen some of these crazy circuits where it ended up closer to the river as well. Falcons is definitely hoping for Hardshift North. They're coming in somewhat late here, you know, 10th team or so to get in. They have no information what's ahead of them. They're going to be spending a lot of time gathering that information.
Oh no, not the time to go to a replay. Well, T1, it looks like it will scare Navi off, but Navi will be okay as we see 04MB just dying to nothing, but it looks like he was able to get rezzed once again. But T1 able to keep Navi at bay, so Navi will continue to roll around on that eastern side. They know that the door is now closed. Don't want to try to get any further into the circle. We'll just play here from that southeastern side. See Falcons, as you said, coming in from the north. But yeah, I mean, you keep bringing it up, and for good reason, right? Like the way teams are playing this right now is based off of old circle logic.
Yep.
And now that we have the new circle logic, those hard shifts could come into. It almost feels like an inevitability at this point that we're going to see it break away. Now, if it goes hard north, hard south, it's going to be interesting because they're so compacted on each other. So if they do end up having to move, it's either going to be you got to do it instantly and try to get out of there quickly, or you play it slow and just don't want to be the first one to get caught out.
Yeah, and you're kind of, you know, innovating as you go here. New positions are going to be power priorities, and you're going to have these high grounds. You're going to have these area around the rivers and the floods.
Oh,
look at that northern shift.
There it is.
Oh my God, Falcons are laughing. They're loving this. This is their chance. You know what? I can give you the live commentary of the comps right now. It's going to be like, guys, we're fed. We need to win this.
Blessed. Hashtag blessed. Well, immediately you see them turn back around. They're going to go for whatever high ground they can find right there. You can see just off to their northwest are those pillars that they can play around, and it looks like Kickstart already in the glider, kind of looking over in that area. But they're going to see a boatload of vehicles down to their south, starting to head that way. So they need to make a decision quickly, as Virtus Pro is going to run into Sharper. Sharper had a great game last round, and they're going to start off here by getting the knock on a Nixie.
Getting a big name down right there. He had 2,500 damage when he started today here. Sabalui gets it. Lukarooks also has been found. Noxon confirms it coming through. VP, sure, they've already gone through. They're already in the final here, but that still want to get points. This is still the absolute best practice you can get if you're already qualified for the final.
Goodness gracious, once again, just a portable red zone of grenades being sent over here. The utility being such a major factor. And Sharper not scared to go ahead and send everything they have in the bag there to go ahead and secure those 2 points off of Virtus Pro. Virtus Pro, the rest of the team will go ahead and escape, as now we see 17 running into Supers. They've got Falcons just off to their north, and you can see Shadow just off to their east. So this is not a fight that I think either of these teams really want to invest too much time in. And yeah, there you go. Both of them are going to pull away immediately.
Smart. That's the way to go about it, right? You want to make sure you can stay alive as long as possible. Full Sense here going for an E-pick up on the southern side. This is huge. We can see so many teams coming in and taking away these pillars from some of these teams that are on the lower ground, right? Kickstart, sure, he's in the glider, but if 4 guys land on the high ground pillar above Falcons here, that's going to put so much pressure onto them, actually. And we have the river in play also, doesn't matter with the land ratio, but these 3 or 4 really tall pillars around the compound where Falcons is, that's going to have quite the impact if Full Sense is able to grab 1 or 2 of them. And it looks like that's what they're going for right now.
I would if I was them. And they're going to actually, I mean, if they can get up there, they're going to have time to set up too, because we also have another E-pickup that's coming from east to west. A little bit farther distance, but I mean, they're going right over the top of the same spot, right? So if Full Senses has the time to really sub, and now T1 has popped one as well, so multiple E-pickups there. So Sharper, or Full Sense rather, could find themselves in a really good spot, but you see immediately upon landing, they're just going to have to drop down on their bellies, as a number of teams already looking over in that direction.
Yeah, Falcons hunkering down this compound. This is quite a strong compound here. You have multiple sides of cover. You can be in the roofs, and it's really difficult to breach unless you breach from that northern area where the rocks is. Just this direction that Gustav is looking at, but they're fully aware that Full Sense is taking some of these northwest pillars, but we're going to have this next circle pop. Let's see where we go, Paro.
All right, we gonna get another hardship?
Wow.
We will. Gonna cut all the way over to the west. And that's gonna leave a
look at all the
pretty big chunk of Bailey in. Where's Vicious gonna go? Where's T1 gonna go? Obviously, Full Sense has landed on top of that pillar. Right now, you see Falcons currently content and hanging in their compound. Why wouldn't they? As you see a number of teams trying to make their way past. It looks like they're going to be able to do it. Vicious not going to pop the shoots by the towers. Instead, they're going to continue going all the way over to Bailey.
I'll have to admit this. I've never seen such a Northwestern circle, especially with the back-to-back hardships like this here. Look at that, all the fans here in Paris loving the games going on the Qiddiya City grid.
I need to get a beret, man.
Yeah? Red or blue?
لول 20.
Honestly, the red one is
We're back.
pretty nice.
You have to go to the lipstick as well then. That's kind of crazy. But look at this, 17 being absolutely getting in here as T1 is
الماتش الرابع.
Delvin finds 0-4 and B from Petrichor Road. Shots coming in. AGL, they need to have a good game. We have just 3 more to go.
Happening on the south side of the circle, you can see there's still 60 alive left in this game as there are
هنا كاين فايت بين T1
T1 have run into 17.
و 17
17 proving to be a little bit more
17
of a hassle to clean up than Falcons was for T1 last time. In fact, they
T1 are eliminated. 17 قدروا
16th place. We'll see if 17 has the time
يصفيو
to
T1.
get those revives on before they get crashed.
T1's had a good day so far today, so they can afford one. But now look at this. Vicious also finding 17. Beamy finds
Ooh.
so much fights happening here in the north.
17 are out تاهما.
15th place as well. Tycon is back to being him old self. 2022, 2023, Tycon is back.
Beautiful timing there by Vicious. They're able to get there before 17's able to do any type of reset whatsoever, so they'll pick up a couple of kills there as I-26v6 will get the knock on a Rex. That's going to force Supers to pull back off, but they don't have time for this. Vitality is coming
Genji
in.
are out.
Road is coming in. Tai Lu is sniffing over in that area as well as Falcons. Also,
نافيس فاهم بربعة.
so the entire south side all kind of playing a game of chicken right now to see who's going to commit to a fight so that the other ones can then third party on there.
So many sharks in water driving around, just being ready to pull
هذا الماتش بدي حامي.
Team Vitality here, trying to maintain control of that eastern side. Just of this high ground right here, it's going to have quite the impact.
وتلمع صغيرة.
Nice to see them driving around here. Be a little bit
Having frondo.
deal and having them back. Yeah, they're going back south here. They're actually going to go straight towards AGL and Petrichor Road. Maybe Tyloo on that southwest side here. Having popping some tires. It's going to be annoying for Vitality. Also a headshot coming his way. Damage is done. Difficult for Vitality to recruit. Hello, my bad if he's going to go down out here, but I think he's going to be fine. The blue zone is not taking more than 1 damage per second. Until we get to the next one, just 10 more seconds. We're going to go to triple that
Vitality
damage
لقوا دبابة.
into that circle just now.
Super's one of our teams that's on the clock. 43 points overall right now. And only this game with 2 remaining. Trying to make sure
الزون في الوسط.
that cut line as the circle will bless up just a little bit here. That's great news if you're Full Sense.
Full Sense بلاصة واعرة.
2 on that high ground, but they
شادو سبورت تا هما
down
VC.
low.
فالكنز قراب بزاف.
Proud of that as well.
ولكن ما كاينش بيلدين قدامه.
Falcons decide to go and when they decide to go really is more the important question. You don't want to be the first one there, right?
Yeah, Full Sense also on the clock. 3 more games to go for them here, and that's exactly like that. Need 10 more points, they could be safe, and they could definitely get it from this game here, or with having high ground control and also having all the eyes in the sky. Being on 2 pillars here is quite insane. Now Falcons are moving on the north side of the road. Vitality driving on the road on the southern side, but that's going to be a fight between
تايلو لقاو الكيل.
Vitality just shortly happening here.
على سوبرز.
Looks like Petrichor Road is sent it towards the middle as we get a quick replay here of 17 quickly dispatching with T1. T1 did manage to get a couple in return, but that was very well played there by both squads. It really just turned into a 1v1 at the end as we see a number of teams just kind of playing along that roadside. The high ground on the east and low ground on the west. Kills just picking one off here and there. Now Navi.
فول سنس هنا كيجيبو كيل على فيتاليتي. فيتاليتي كيغاليريو. نوك. ثاني عليهم. فيتاليتي باقي لهم لعب واحد دابا لايف. they are out.
They were way too aggressive, going too deep, and they lost out on everything. Himas with the links as well on Gedrox. Jedi finds Ming Ming from Petrichor Road. And Navi lost Ferris here from this position on an all. Shadow really trying to hold them out here. The usual Navi would do a straight pull up onto this position, but they have so much strong terrain here from Shadow. They're inside the circle. They have rocks to peek from. Very difficult to take away from them.
That actually might be a come up for AGAL as well as the Lynx. He was able to take him out of that BRDM that Vitality was working with earlier. So AGAL may have acquired
فالكنز
themselves
كيحاولوا
a
ياخذوا شي
toy as
بوزيسيون
Falcons
هنا.
will play just underneath the tower, and now Navi continuing the push up, but you see Shadow. Oh, you don't want to stack up like perfect grenade. Hansi now, the last player left alive, as the utility continues to stream over the top.
One more for boost.
نافي الزيطرو على
Triple nade, nah, it's just more damage than the knocks already, and they're gonna try to make use of the
Shadow
more
Esport.
damage is being done to them. More nade coming their way. That's a great peek. He gets Spyro down. It's just boosting. Where's the
Shadow
gets
Esports
him
are
down.
out.
Hansi out. Shadow Esports out in 10 kills here. Now it's 7 kills for Navi.
جي دي ايسبورت هما
480 damage for him, 4 kills,
كيخرجوا
7 total for Navi as they starting to find their footing
شاربر
here late in day 1 for
جابوا جوج
them.
الكيلز
Rest of full sense not able to really pull everybody together and
على
respond to
السوبرز.
that. So Belmoth just holds on to the high ground as we circle Sidra up once again on the circle. Donut indeed. Sharper and Blue sparring off to the west, but they have to find a place to play now.
You know what? The slice of pizza in the south just looks like perfectly it's AGL's. This could be their game. Look at that, yeah. They have quite the control in the corner there. What the intersection of the that is such a strong position. You can reach up and you can look over the ridges and just.
فالكنز نخصهم يردوا البال موراهم.
Set up that spot, so that's great for them. Falcons now considering we're gonna make a move. More control here in that eastern side. I don't think they're fully aware that Panadol is close to them, but they're definitely aware that Full Sense is up there. Let's see what AGL does, though.
Yeah, AGAL, yeah, I just briefly saw him as on a mortar. Not sure
Full Sense هنا في الهاي جراوند.
But you see Falcons stacked up the way they are.
ولكن برا الزون.
For sure. As we check back in with Full Sense with that high ground. They are going to have to leave it now, though, but they do have a foothold in with Thanadol just on the other side of this column from the rest of the Falcons.
فالكنز كيحاولوا يشدوا راسهم في هذه البلاصه هذه على ما تبان الزون الجايه. فالكنز خاصهم ضروري يربحوا صراحه الا بغاو يقربوا من التاهل.
On screen here, you can see Gunnar somewhat nervous, it looks like, but he knows how important this game is for them. This is definitely a double-digit potential game here. AGL is setting up quite aggressively. Tyloo actually getting close to sniffing this out as well. As you see, Beamy trying to boost up and survive. He's got an
نافي ديجا وصلوا 7 كيلز وفي سي 5.
Definitely want to try to compete against these teams as, of course, can they get more kills? Can they stat pad?
نافي خسروا ديجا جوج اللعابه ديالهم.
That's going to be so impactful throughout this late game.
When they stole off of Vitality, Lynx coming in huge.
باقي دقيقه على الزون.
4 kills for them so
الزون
far.
الجايه.
3 in the pocket for Himas. Complete control over this road as VP is going to make their move. Unfortunately, they do so at a time when AGAL was kind of moving on their own. So nobody really looking.
AGL هنا حاولوا ياخذوا شويه ديال الانفورماسيون. Full Sense high ground.
Eyes on here, shots being taken from range from one side of the circle.
كلشي متارجيتي دابا فالكنز.
And honestly, Full Sense and Falcons could benefit from coexisting on the high ground and low ground.
هنا مورتار من اي جي ال غير تارجيتي فالكنز صعيب هذا المورتار هذا.
Have quite the impact here, and Vicious also in the northern side.
No, ما كيتارجيتش فالكنز.
Sharper in the west, Tyloo in the south.
اوكي.
AGL in the southeast.
تارجيت على البلاصه ما عرفتش الصراحه شكون كان فيها. فالكنز هنايا لعبوا بزاف ديال اليوتيلز. اوه في الدماغ ديال تايلو. وان دراجون يقدر يهرب. نافي ار اوت.
Gotta leave, but yeah, Kong Kong on one as well. So Tyloo sending mortars off somewhere. We'll see.
هنا مرتر على فالكنز. زقل لاعب ديال فول سنس.
is going to pull Full Sense in once again. So this might be a Full Sense Falcons fight that's going to have to pop off.
Oh, grenade واعر هنا.
Grenades down. He's going to do big amounts of damage. Not going to get the knock.
Grenade ثانية.
Oh my goodness, the one bounce keeping him alive as Falcons Just hear
بومسات
explosions ringing in their ears.
وتقلتين
That's going to be rough.
يقدر يهرب.
Just a little bit more. Have two guys that's that close to an 8 here. They're 2-2 stacking, trying to spread out, trying to.
فالكنز خاصهم ضروري
These utilities that they have. Headshots are coming in as well.
يلقاو بشي حل لحقاش فول سنس عندهم هاي جراوند عليهم. اوه اي جي ال قدر يقتلوا تيجر وصوفاهم صوفا فالكنز.
Of course,
VC
had the Panzerfaust, and now Beamy's got a
خسروا
BRDM of his
لعب
own to play with.
ولعب نوكت.
What's left of it either way, he's by himself. He can maybe survive just a little bit longer. See, he'll at least use it for cover, if nothing else, as Vicious will try to make their way in, see if they can finish him off. Meanwhile, Falcons trying to take out what's left.
Falcons هناك كيفايتوا مع فول سنس.
Hanging around, getting shot at by AGAL from the low side. Gustav will find one, he'll find
جوستاف
two.
كريزي جوج النوكس وبقى 1 اتش بي. فول سنس دابا بقى لهم لاعب واحد يحاولوا يريفايفيو ولكن صعيب يسرفايفيو. يس فالكنز برافو عليهم. جابوا 3 الكيلز في هذا الفايت.
And they're taking the PGC 2025 champions out of this game. 6 teams left, 20 players left alive.
That was a good fight for Falcons there, clean fight. And obviously AGAL was kind of pressuring them, so they weren't able to set it up the exact way that they wanted to, but they were still able to come out on top, so well played by them. AGAL just exerting so much control over this lobby, this southeastern side right now. They are a problem that everyone is going to have to deal with here eventually, but right now, Falcons the only one that have their eyes.
Himas finds kickstart with the links. Tickleton finds Dogby. Vicious is in.
Oh, VP are out.
6th place here, and what an effort from Beam here. Well played by them. Now we're down to AGL having this much control here. It's going to be so difficult for the rest of the lot.
Oh, VC قتلوا صاحبهم.
Look at that, Southern shift straight onto AGL. This is their chance to make it to the finals.
If ever you needed a game to go your way,
اي جي ال كيجيبوا نوك على كيك ستار.
gets the knock on the kickstart once again. Falcons just getting pressed from all sides. Now Vicious taking shots over there, but now Sharper has actually got a flanking angle over here onto AGAL, so they can't focus fully on Falcons anymore. They have to be looking over towards Sharper. 642 damage there on I think that was our Zapalui that we just looked at, but you see what Falcons are having to deal with. It's not great.
اوه
It's not great.
فالكنز هنا كيغاليريو مجموعين كاملين بلاصه وحده.
No smokes in the M7.
قتلهم حتى شي حاجه في اليوتيليتي.
Obviously their focus now is trying to get out and get Vicious out of the game and eliminated here. There's 2 potential kills on them, and also the point for placement. That'll be a 3-point play for them. But let's see how this applies here. Sharper also a potential big game for them here, and they need it. 18 points
Sharper هنا
for these 3 games here. So now they're going to be pushing.
عندهم بوزيشن واعره.
From Sharper, he's going to be able to get the point. I'm not sure.
اوه فالكنز جابوا كيل. جابوا نوك على الشاربر.
Kind of getting caught in no man's land there as the rest of his team still playing on the other side of the hill. They're going to have to move eventually. It looks like they're focused in on Tai Lu right now. They've kind of given up Thanadol for dead. Can't really blame him as Tycon will just spray through the smoke, see if he can find something. He's going to get some damage.
اوه فالكنز نوكاو لهم جوج لعابه دابا. تيجلتين فالكنز خسروا جوج لعابه. فالكنز بقى لهم لاعب واحد دابا. في سي تا هما بقى لهم لاعب واحد.
Absolutely stolen kills left and right and center. Him as finds Thanawat.
Huge rate
as well. Yeah, it is. Him as is finding Thunders as well. Takes Sharper down. One dragon goes down to Sharper. It's a big 3-way fight by the big teams left alive.
Falcons are out.
Just Jedi, Hausker, and Kong from Tai Lu. Falcons is out in 5th place.
Tai Lu showing signs of life here at the end. Kind of talking about them prior to the game, saying that they don't have a chance. We don't have a lot of faith in their abilities to from behind this point, but
اوه
sweet Tycon.
اي جي ال وصل دابا ل 10 الكيلز. اي جي ال غالبا غيربحوا هذا الراوند هادي.
And now they have complete control as the circle will pull to them once again, and Tai Lu is up against the wall.
Tai Lu's on the clock. We're talking about them. This is their chance to put points on the board. and they need to win. They need the points. They need the kills.
تايلو وصلوا حتى البوزيسيون الثانية.
Especially considering they had 1 point in the 3 first games of the day here, and so far now with second place, 6 points.
غتعاونهم بزاف تايلو في هذا الماتش.
It's a good one for them, but I don't
باش
see them
يتأهلوا.
in this game here. There's a 4-man strong with full 3 gear, with FAMAS, with Lynx. I don't know how many bullets Hemis has left, but Outsker is taking lots of damage here. He has a Panzer, could have an impact. I don't know if Delva's going to be too greedy with that beard and getting too close.
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, you could see just the way that AGAL is posturing right now. They know they're in a 4v3. They're not going to take any super high risks here. They have control of the circle. They have everything they could possibly want. And we'll see Ty Lu. They're going to put
تايلو عندهم بازوكا.
but that's going to get absolutely lit up immediately. Kong going to have to hop out, and he's going to get spotted by Sololzi. Somehow, Hausker is still
حاولوا
alive.
يبوشيو بالطوموبيل ولكن ما قدروش.
Comes through, but he will get the knock onto Delwyn. One dragon. They'll spot him at. But, you have to imagine Ty Lu kind of in a tough spot. There's no way you're not going for that res, right?
That's crazy. Delwyn with a, oh my god, the confirm from Hausker and Ty Lu here. Great utility usage from him. 6 kills for them so far, and a 12-point game considering they're going to be pushing up to 13. Still going to have 2 massive shots comes in.
مشالهم لواحد.
So much damage done on to Hausker. You're not going to
ولكن
get that res.
غالبا يجيبوا الوين دابا 3v1.
He's going to get absolutely slaughtered with all the utilities being thrown in his direction right now.
The red zone comes through.
برافو AGL.
يجيبوا الوين. Huge victory for themselves here at EWC.
Absolutely cinema here for them. They were looking actually pretty rough so far today, but that game was their absolute victory here. What a way for them to do it. They were in 33 points going into this one here, and now with the chicken dinner, with all the kills they're able to get here, they're going to put themselves into 50-plus area here, so that's going to be close to finals.
That was a team that we had very high expectations of coming into yesterday, and obviously not really delivering in a big way. I mean, it was an average day for sure, but they needed more if they were going to secure their spot. Well, more will they deliver here today, and they've still got 2 more games left to play, but
فالكنز خصهم ضروري يربحوا الا بغاو يقربوا من التأهل.
And honestly, just as soon as they were able to take out Vitality, it was almost just set in stone from that point on.
Yeah, absolutely. As we look back here, Himas absolutely slaughtering Hausker here. What a great way. And look, 6 nades. Himas had 6 nades when there is just 1 player left standing. The bombardment of the red zone just starts here, and look at that. 5 kills, 7 kills I think he ends up on here. What a way to do it from, and also tons of damage to come in.
Very cool, calm, and collected there, aren't they?
Yeah, I felt like that's so expected for them from that position. We were talking about it already, minute 12.
Oh, yeah.
They are going to win this game just based off that position with the utility they have, with the links, with the FAMAS that Delwyn was able to get, and also at BRDM. It's so strong. It's, for me, it's almost like a top 4 is guaranteed with the BRDM.
It almost feels like it sometimes. Well, we have seen teams kind of run into trouble with them sometimes here and there, but I mean, when the position that they had that time around, it was going to be really, really, I mean, I don't think we saw anybody even take a shot at AGAL there for about 15-20 minutes. Well, there you go, 23 points for them, and that's going to do a load of work to securing their spot here in the grand final. Vicious Esports and Ty Lu, though, showing out here at the end.
What a great day and start for Vicious. So I actually didn't have high expectations for them, to be honest. It's a situation where Tycoon is just back, maybe? Like, it's a newfound motivation.
Did he ever leave?
I don't know, man. Last year, 2025, 2024, he was a former shadow of himself. Remember Dubai, remember 2023. He was an absolute beast. I don't know if he's going to be able to continue to do this throughout the final, but Vicious is looking great. They're looking poised.
Absolutely. Well, we have a quick interview, so let's throw it down to Mr. James Calares Carroll.
Yes, that's right. Thank you very much. I'm here with Shrimzy to check in on what's going on so far here for the Falcons boys, one of everybody's favorites and one of my favorites in Shrimzy as well. How are you doing so far, man?
Doing good, and you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I want to ask you about the first, half and a bit of the day here, of course. A lot of people are looking at Falcons as one of the big names here for EWC. So what's been your perspective so far on how the games have gone here for Falcons?
Games have actually gone pretty decent. I think we're playing pretty well. A few things haven't gone our way, and it's led to a lot of points not being acquired, but I think that's just PUBG sometimes, and you just have to keep pushing.
Bit of a tough rondo here for this one. Obviously, you guys had a decent shift north onto your compound and they've been able to take that spot, but then the circle starts shifting away. You send Gustav forwards for that scout, but then beyond that, you're kind of stuck up against those rocks. So what's going on communication-wise, etc., in those kinds of moments?
It's just pure chaos, you know? Like, there's just so much going on all the time. Mortars, BRDMs, people above us, you know, we're just trying not to die and trying to see get as many kills as we can, but I mean, it's just crazy. There's a lot going on.
Confident about your chances to be able to move on? The 2 more games here today. Obviously, you've got another day in hand as well. You thinking it's going to be okay?
Yeah, of course. We're one of the best teams in the lobby, and we're going to perform like it for sure.
If I get you some waffles for the Breakfast of Champions compared to our previous breakfast, do you think that'd work?
I need it.
The Breakfast of Champions, very important here for Shrimzy. Thank you very much, mate. You can get them back, as now we head on over to even more here from the EWC.
Everyone is playing, you're not yet. EWC Play is your all-in-one platform to compete in fantasy, pick'em, and quests for a grand total of $300,000 in prize pool. Build your dream fantasy team in 5 different games and track your score with live results tables. Predict the winner of every game, every group stage, and every tournament. Complete daily and weekly challenges to earn boosters that help you climb the global leaderboard. Got what it takes? Join EWC Play now.
Another week of EWC means another week of club championship updates. We've got new games on the table, and we're hanging out with Ton to give us a little bit of insight about what's been going on over at the Lenovo Legion Gauntlet.
Yeah, MLBB very much underway, starting with our group stage, which we've got going on all week long, into playoffs next week. But we're very early doors here in MLBB, but it's going to be really interesting, especially when it comes down to club championship. We've got a lot of the big boys in there, and some of the teams that actually really need to start putting their foot down.
I mean, similar situation to what we've got going on for PUBG as well, which means that when we're looking at the Falcons, AGALs, the squads that need that win in order to be eligible to claim the trophy, this could be a huge pivotal week for them.
Yeah, I mean, Falcons, speaking of them, they've got 2 teams within our tournament. So one of them did come through in week 0 of WC, actually. Managed to make it through the qualifier. They've got those 2 different teams coming through, but only one of them is really in contention to be going for the win. For them, not being the greatest of starts, though, for both the Falcons squad, you would have liked something maybe a little bit more clean cut. But teams like Vitality, Team Liquid are our favorites when we're over there. They need to start getting going as well. They're not quite putting up as much of a fight as they have done in 2024 and 2025. But realistically speaking, they are a team who should be getting 1,000 points in MLBB. Whether or not that happens or not is another thing.
Yeah, and they're one of those teams that have done well in years past for club championships, so we'll have to keep an eye on them and see how it goes. But of course, lots of gameplay left before we can even get into it, so we'll check in just a little bit.
Well, if you had AGAL, one of those club championship teams, on your pick'ems, congratulations, because they are bouncing back, getting over 10 eliminations in that last one. If you haven't been able to put in your pick'ems, make sure you go ahead and do so. Go to the EWC website or the EWC app. And if you're sharing stuff on social media, don't forget to use the hashtag EWC. I want to start featuring some of your guys' stuff that you're sharing on social media. But, I mean, the main topic right now, Toffees, AGAL.
Man, they needed it real bad, right? This is one of those, they're not only for this, but for the Cup in general. You heard the Cup update. They're a team that has to sort of put some points on the board for the organization. They actually managed to do it that time. Now, they did it with all the tools that they could possibly get on the map. The BRDM, they had a Lynx in their pocket. At the end of that match, I think there were 8 grenades left on Himas, so that was crazy to see. They played it really, really well. And while Tycon and Himas aren't on the same team anymore, it was nice once again to see the old Tycon-Himas show as those 2 teams went head-to-head at the end of that match.
Listen, we're enjoying this rooftop so much. We decided, you know what? Let's just stay here a little bit longer. We were expecting Falcons to make a bit of a comeback. We just heard on that interview they still have the confidence. Calaris asked him, you expected to make it to the finals? They're like, yeah,
Yeah, look, I'm just enjoying the sunshine, but not so much the wind. You guys don't have hair like I do that gets all up in your face, but you know what gets up in your face is, like, obviously we had full sense on the height there above the Falcons, and this was kind of like a little bit of a difficult situation for them, obviously being embedded under the rock, but I mean, they were kind of causing that chaos, and the Falcons were able to sort of hold them off. They, full sense used so much utility on them. The grenades were flying in, yet they still kind of kept that composure so they could keep that sort of southeastern side to make their way in. But look, it was a little bit better of a game from them, and obviously we heard the interview before saying they're like, we're doing well. I mean, it's not super reflective of the leaderboard for them, but like it's nice to see that their mentality is still saying, look, we've got this. But look, I feel like we've got 2 matches left.
Yep.
They're going to have to do something crazy in the next group stages.
Yeah, I mean, full sense is, all right, sorry. Falcons are used to being on top of the mountain. That's the way they breed, right? When a Falcon's on the ground, they're at their weakest. So full sense up above them, covering them, keeping them locked up against the rocks. There wasn't much they can do. I liked Shrimzy's attitude in that interview. He said, you know, the game's going the way that not how we want it to, but we're not mad about our calls. Like getting to that rock, being run over in the last game, this time getting stuck underneath full sense. It's not necessarily bad choices. It's just unfortunate. Like we said earlier, PUBG happens. That mentality to bounce back and make a move is what matters most.
And that's one team that we expect to be able to bounce back and continue that consistency. And honestly, they even said it. They are one of the favorites. They're going to end up being on the finals, and I don't expect anything different from there. Talking about teams that are going to be going to the finals or might not be able to make it to the finals, because now we're moving into the last 2 matches of Group A. And this is why that win was so big for AJL. But we got to talk about some of the other squads. I'm looking at Tai Lu. Now they're going to be going to the last games. It's going to come down for them to pretty much just go for broke.
Yeah, I mean, sitting at 32 points with 2 games left to play is not where you want to be. We think the cutoff's going to be around 64 potentially, maybe lower. They might get lucky because there's 3 sponges so far that are developing, but that is going to be a little bit of a tough move. I will say, if they had managed to win that, going, you know, and pull out a couple extra points, I think it was better, but at least they now have some momentum. They can say, you know what, it's not our calls. We are making good choices, and that confidence going to 2 more games, maybe that's the difference maker.
I mean, what if we even pull it over to Na'Vi sort of sitting down in that? They're making some awesome calls as well, like sitting at this sort of mid-range of the leaderboard. They were able to get that push on Shadow, but you were talking to me about this, but at the cost of what? They took pretty much the entire team just to be able to get those eliminations happening, but that was down to 1, and they weren't able to sort of, I guess, resurrect themselves from that play.
We talk about the Na'Vi situation, right? So Shadow set up a pretty good trap. They're tucked up against the hill. They get Hackatory, and if there's something you want to do when you fight Na'Vi, it's kill Hackatory as fast as possible. They did it. The problem is you have to remember, never go full stack. They stacked up together on the side of that hill, and it was one boosted grenade dropped on their toes. They looked down, they said, oh no. It was like one of those movies, like you're watching Saving Private Ryan, where all the guys are like, oh, it's over now, and they go. That's the end of them, and then Navi's able to sort of salvage up some points. Navi, I think, is in the same position, I think, as the Falcons a little bit. That 20 points right now after 4 games, a 5-point average is okay. That puts you at 60 on this track, but you say these are all bad games, right? You got to have one good game out of 12, surely. So if they get one game where they average 9 to 12 off of that game, that puts them into a spot where they will probably qualify.
I mean, what I'm seeing from like Na'Vi is they are trying different things and they're making these decisions. And I'm not saying the Falcons aren't making the decisions. You heard them. They are happy with what they are doing, but it looks like Na'Vi's just pulling out everything and throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, which is what I like to see from a team. No, that didn't work out so well for them, but they'll go back to the drawing board in these next matches, and I feel like they could do something a little bit more in our match 5 and 6.
I think the thing I like about Na'Vi is, so we talk about Twisted Minds as a system-driven team often. Na'Vi, and I actually heard this, Twisted Minds wasn't stoked because Na'Vi came in and sort of memorized their system, adapted it a little bit, and has used it for themselves. So I think the idea that Na'Vi is system-driven, but when the fight breaks out, they become very sort of work on your own or work in duos. The system is dead, let's just frag. I think works really well for the modern environment and the way that PUBG has been evolving so quickly. This is one of my picks for teams over the next 2 years that will continue to just keep climbing that board and be world champions at some point.
And for Na'Vi, they just came in today, too. So they still have 6 more games tomorrow to go. They got time. If they're taking a little bit of time, that's completely fine. One team that started off hot today, and it has slowed down in a way, but even though they've still been getting the points, it's VP. VP, in the way that they're positioned currently in the overall, they're looking like they're going to be going to the finals. But at this moment, I mean, if you're going into the last 2 games, they could use that to play a bit of a spoiler role to some of the other squads that are also in Group A that are having a hard time.
Yeah, it's one of those, do I take that risk? Do I sort of mess with someone and they come back around? If there's a $2 million tournament, that's the one to make bad blood on, right? So they could mess with someone. That's not VP's nature generally. I think what they'll do is try to run up those numbers a little bit, because you also want that confidence. You want to walk with swagger into the grand finals and be like, yeah, we broke 110. And then everybody else is terrified of you. So I think that's what VP is going to look for the next 2 games, is to crack up above those 100 plus and say, we are the guys to be scared of when it comes to the grand final.
And earlier we saw Full Sense being able to bounce back a little bit too, getting themselves closer. Shadow Esports is in that range as well. For some of these squads, I feel like if they can possibly end up clutching up a win in the next 2 games, Slays, that could end up meaning a ticket to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely huge from these games, and we saw it coming out of like the first kind of group stages and stuff like that. They have really turned things around. They went back to the drawing board, and they are showcasing it today. And I know you've been a big fan of Shadow, and y'all saying it in the green room, but they are absolutely turning up.
I'm all in. I'm all in on Shadow Esports. Toffees doesn't agree with me, but the thing is that I'm all on Shadow Esports because of Toffees.
I said good day one.
Which they did. So after that, I was like, this man knows what he's talking about. That's why he's here with me in Paris for PUBG Battlegrounds at EWC 26. But I know we got something cool going on the stage with Barney and Luti.
Erangel, Miramar, Tego, and Rondo. You know, if me and you had a map, what would it be called?
I mean, we can do like everybody else. Like, we take our 2 names and we smash it together, like Looney.
No.
Okay.
Booty.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Yeah, no, maybe. Okay, regardless of what it's called, what about the terrain, okay? So, like, you know, teacups everywhere.
Of
or like
course.
the Eiffel Tower in the middle.
That's a good idea.
And it's like destructible, so in every game, it just gets smashed to smithereens.
You want to destroy the Eiffel Tower? That's rude, bro. Like, imagine if I said the same about Big Bob.
It's Big Ben.
Oh, yeah, whatever's. You know, map are good and great as they are now. So game 5 around the corner now. And for some of our players, there are only 2 games left in the group stage.
That's right. The points threshold is starting to take shape, but our teams from Group A really need to step up and do something and end with a bang if they got any chance of making it through to the grand finals. And so with that being said, it's time to head over to our casters. Let's do this. Right, come on. We can destroy the Eiffel Tower.
No, buddy, we're not going to destroy the Tower Eiffel.
Yeah, we won't talk about Eiffel Tower destruction or the destruction of Big Bob, but we are going to destroy a couple of hopes and dreams here if these teams aren't careful. 2 games remaining for our squads in Group A, and there are definitely some that are going to be sweating going into these final 2 matches, Martin.
Yeah, there's going to be Tyloo very much sweating here. 32 points. Pedicle Road, 34 points.
That's
Supers,
a shocker to me.
46.
That's a shocker to me.
Yeah, there's some names here that should not be down here. And after what we see from AGL, then 56, they're safe. Full Sense is looking good on 52. So yeah, it's very much and very nervous for the teams at the very bottom here.
Well, 2 games remaining. Tego is where we are going now. We'll see if those squads that are in the hunt, in the chase, that desperately need something to go their way, they can find a little bit of Tego magic to bring them where they need to be. The plane is in the air and it is hugging the western side or southwestern side, so probably, hopefully, maybe not another shipyard circle.
You know what I love about Tego?
What's that?
We get to say, it's time to Tego, guys. 2 more games here, Paul. And you know what?
Can't avoid it.
هلو العشرين we're back الماتش الخامس اليوم
Even to Yongchang, it's going to be a stretch and a car.
تيجو يلعبوا في تيجو.
Might see some contest for cars in some of the areas where teams are not used to. So I think it'll be difficult for this one here. Tyloo, 2 more games. So currently at the bottom of those teams that have played 10 games. And yeah, they're going to be close to Gen G, close to Vitality. And Vitality's been looking great. They're also have played 10 games. And 57 points for them. Guaranteed to go final in my book here. Sure, they're going to get a few more points. I think the cutoff, considering how kind of top-heavy we've had it so far, I think the cutoff might be significantly
a little bit
lower.
Yeah.
Maybe the 50 to 55 point mark. So yeah, we'll see. And we get a southern side shift here. And look at that. Look at the team straight smack bang in the middle here. It's going to be absolutely interesting to see what they're going to be able to bring.
Look at that. Yeah, I was
keeping
a very close eye on this because anytime you see
الظن بعيدة بزاف على فالكنز وعلى روتيشن خاصهم يديروا إذا ما لقاوش emergency pick up هذه غاليرة.
When you start getting a little bit worried because looking at these drop maps coming into this, it's the alt drops where everybody is kind of like piled on top of each other. Everybody says that Songam is their alt drop. They got like 4 teams saying Songam is their alt drop. Well, fortunately, it looks like everybody kind of got the message and they found different ways to do it considering this plane. So looks like the luck in their favor this time, and we won't see any early game shenanigans here. But as you said, Petrichor Road, they're in a really nice spot here. They got Chewy 7-1 right in the middle. The rest of the squad over in Buksansa, and they're going to come and join him very quickly.
I quickly want to talk about your biggest surprises so far we've seen. We've got 2 more games to talk about Group A here. What's your biggest surprise in Group A so
Shadow Esports.
Shadow Esports, 51 points, Poro.
I mean, it's
just
not even a doubt.
More and they're good. No, hands down. They've been very, very impressed with what they've been able to bring here. And yeah, sure, so far today it's been 16 points, but yesterday 35. They were actually the team coming into today here, considering we brought out and taken all of Group B out. They had the most points going into the start of the day here. Sure, they had a not as good of a day, but they still got 2 more games to go. And I'd say, again, with 51 points now, with 2 more games to go, they know they just need a few kills. They're going to set up and play around that. And with a home turf circle like this, where they're able to do school and Sangam alone, they're going to have all their prior compounds. My biggest worry is for this one and for Shadow, don't go too greedy.
No.
Like, I would even go as far as saying 4-man stack. If someone crashes you, as Delvin finds Earth Sapalui here, a lot of teams are going to be fighting outside the circle because they have no priority on that southern side. They're going to be fighting.
هنا في سيك ياخذ الانفورماسيون على DN Supers.
Keeping eyes on Vicious Esports, getting a little close to Supers right now. It looks like they're just trading shots, but Vicious looking like they might actually want this. I think they realize that they've got Supers in a disadvantageous position, but Supers will retreat to the coastline, and I think, Vicious is going to see the other members from Supers starting to arrive, so they realize that the time is no longer there, and they're just going to go ahead and pull away. It's probably a smart play there.
That's some alpha move, just driving straight at them like a game of chicken here, as you say, and they're like, oh, we're bowing down. I'm like, okay, well, these guys are afraid of us, so let's just go towards the circle. DN Supers, as you say, 43 points, Poro. That is not enough. They got 2 more games to go here, and it's a team we've been discussing throughout the year. As a team where, okay, they're actually going to be able to do some damage. Now Levante getting into a secret room, and I see a 3-West. I see everything going on here for him. He's absolutely stacked with a Grossa as well in hand. Full 7-6-2 setup for him. This is going to be a huge game if everyone else is able to set up Levante on Team Vitality.
Tell me your secrets, Levante.
Only if you have the key, Poro. Only if you have the key. And that's obviously a new addition here in esports. It's awesome. Played a lot of it in ranked, and I actually really love it. It's high risk, high reward. Some of the areas are hard to get to. It's hard to contest. Some of them are a little bit more secret. And all the teams not fully prepared to, like, you have to remember, oh, where are these areas actually? Because we've been playing with them in esports where we didn't have the keys, where you couldn't get in, and they were really weak positions. But when being able to open the door, being able to play from inside, is actually way, way safer. So that's interesting to see. Sure, here it doesn't have a big impact for Vitality because they're going to go back to their 2-2 split or 1-1-2 split. And now on screen here with Na'Vi, so far, of course, only have been played 4 games, but only 20 points. It's a team that just by the sheer brute force of mechanical skill and pull-ups, they don't need placement points. They can just kill everyone. But they have only had 15 kills, 5 placement points. Is that enough for a team of this caliber? If you look at how many players and teams have mentioned Hackatory and Na'Vi as a contender here.
Always, yeah. No, I mean, but this is kind of always been the case for Na'Vi, hasn't it? I mean, we've kind of looked at him and you're like, oh my God, Hackatory, if not if not the best player in the world, especially when he's really, really on. We've always kind of said, like, he just needs somebody else there. He needs some support, and there's certain days that Na'Vi, the rest of the guys are able to keep up with him, and now that with the addition of Boostic, obviously a lot more firepower, a lot more mechanical talent being brought in, but it's still kind of, it feels like the story's still remaining the same. Like, you'll have Na'Vi will put up these 70
emergency pickup
where they just look unstoppable, and then they have these where 20 point or less just stinkers, and it's if they can just find a way, and tomorrow they could come in here and drop 80. That's the thing. Is like you never know with this squad.
No, and for this game here, they do have some pretty good terrain here, but we have such a big southern circle here. A lot of teams already inside. The teams that are out right now trying to get in, let's talk about it. As you see 17 Gaming flying around the gliders, we might have some air combat here, and I do love that.
It's 17 and Navi, so it's actually good for Navi there. It looks like it's going to be enough to force 17 to continue their rotation, pushing off to the west. So Navi will hold strong. They do have Petrichor Road kind of off to their south, but looks like they've got a decent spot to play here just off center.
Yeah, Falcons also drawing in, trying to get into position from the northern side. They're potentially going to butt head with T1. Tyloo coming in from the southeast. 17 Gaming is coming in from the north right now, inside the circle of Hosan here, but they're going to be having VP flying straight across from them from the helicopter. And the emergency pickup, of course. And all the teams already very, very centered up, close and around Song Am. A little bit nervous if we're going to see a western or eastern hard shift. We've seen these, you know, hospital kind of hard shift to the east. Maybe have these Song Am endings. But I would love the southern side, like the area between school and Song Am. This high ground kind of king of the hill fight. One of my favorite areas here on Tego.
You know, and I feel like a lot of these teams may be thinking with those new circle.
اوه فالكنز هنا غيدوزو على T1. صعيب 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 صعيب. اوه قدروا يهربوا منهم.
To where if it does do that, we can kind of play around it and we feel better and more confident coming north, but it's not going to matter. It is going to hard shift down to the south. So 50%
انو فالكنز غيدخلوا في الفايت، جاي يجيبوا النوك، جوج النوكس على T1.
T1 running into trouble early. This time it's going to be the Falcons.
And كيموت. طيب غالبا راح يموت هو.
Raining and Heather's going to have to drive away. That's 2 easy points for Falcons with BRDM as well. The way you can just brute force your way with that is just insane. So
Falcons عندهم دبابة دابا.
And now with this circle be this southern, they have no priority. They have no rush to get in there. They can loot. They can get the chips if they want. You can just get all the utility and just recoup just a little bit. Type still knocked out there. That's going to bleed out eventually in here in phase 2. But sure, Tickleton found him. It's going to be looting out. And now T1 being down to just Raining and Heather. Sure, they've had a absolutely fantastic day so far with 31 points in just 4 games. If they can replicate that tomorrow, it's going to be fine. Red zone straight on where we potentially could be ending up. It's going to create so much destructible terrain and areas and dips and
فالكنز بداو الماتش بجوج د البوان. مزيان برافو عليهم. كان دابا خصهم يريلوكيتيو حتى الزون. الزون بعيد عليهم. اوه هنا 17 نوك ليهم للغوست. الغوست كيموت. ويمبولو.
AGL has set up a great spot here on the mini palace on the southern side. They're going to get so much points from here. Boosting gets found by a red zone. Xiaowu's out from the
glider.
Destruction is happening everywhere here.
كيموت لهم كنوك لهم لاعب من الجلايدر.
Absolute insanity.
Oh my goodness.
VP كيقتلوا اكس وود.
I could probably count on one hand the amount of times he's been knocked by a red zone.
I can tell you it's not fun.
It's
فالكنز مازال كيروتيتيو زين برا الزون.
Unfortunately, nobody was really pressing them. They're still off to the east. They're going to get that revive up pretty quickly. Falcons, though, I wanted to ask you, so coming in so far from the north, right? You see the shift all the way down south, the second shift going all the way down south. At what point do you say, okay, now we're kind of in salvage mode? We're not really feeling like we can maybe get a win off of this just because
we're 17 game in. كيموت من الجلايدر.
Now let's just go for kills.
Everything just changes because they have a BRDM, right? They can play around it with where the BRDM can go in front, he can scout, he can see, okay, where's teams and try to avoid a pants, of course. Here with this, they can kind of brute force their way through the circle where they still get space here. Even Tyloo shooting at them now here as it is. They're going to divert a little bit. They're going to kind of try to sit up and still get inside the circle here. So they're going to be absolutely fine. Look at that.
17.
Delvin finds Wenbo, even though he had some cover.
كنت لهم لاعب يجي على يحاول ياخذ كيل.
Absolutely gone and 200 damage already to Delvin. Another circle pop. We do go towards the Songan area and to the eastern side there, and Falcon's going to be happy with that. Wenbo flushed, Delvin get that point, and AGL absolutely on fire after that last game. Confidence at an all-time high here, Poro.
فكنقدروا يرجعوا.
I mean, if we're going to we're going to call out these teams that are having a bad day. 17, man.
T1 بعد بزاف.
20 points on the day yet with one game remaining.
الزون.
Well, this one obviously, but only Tian left.
ما عرفتش واش خداو الشيبس.
They're leaving themselves with
chips
a
ديال
lion's share of
صحابهم.
work to do here tomorrow.
باش يردوهم.
As we see the new circle is popped, most teams already in. I did want to point out T1. Falcons, after they took out those two players from T1, did not destroy the chips. Right. But T1 was able to get those revives. We'll see if that comes back to haunt them here. As now we check on supers. They've got JDG on the coastline. Looks like JDG is going to be able to avoid them for the most part.
That's going to be quite the amount of teams going to try to go for some of the coastline play here, because sure, it's phase 3, but no longer having land ratios, not going to be guaranteed to go away from this water area. And we've seen some tendencies where it actually goes towards water in those phase 4s and phase 5. So let's see what happens here. With that northeastern shift here, look at the amount of space that Falcons was able to create from some. Also, I'm going to have to get my magnifying glass out, because it looks like there's like 5 or 6 teams in the dead center. It's Vicious, Gen G, Shadow Esports, Sharper, Vitality,
مازال حتى شي تيم ما خرج. 17 قالوا ملعب واحد.
That is going to be very hectic if and when they have to leave. But right now, they'll just be uncomfortable neighbors as we check back in with AGAL. Still have to make their way inside zone, and they've taken their time about it. And as a result, Virtus Pro has kind of got themselves into a spot that they could maybe cause some trouble. As we see exactly what Mr. Avenger was talking about. Lots of residents in the city of Songam right now.
New applications are closed for Songam.
No vacancies.
There's no vacancies available here in Songam, absolutely. And with the area that Falcons has, if this circle goes anywhere east, that's a double-digit big game for them here. That's exactly what they need. You can hear the confidence from Shrimpsy. They're like, yeah, we're one of the best teams in the lobby, and we're going to play like it. And this is definitely a game where we potentially could be seeing that, especially with a PRDM in hand.
Oh, look at this. Hemas has no idea that Virtus Pro is just on the other side of this ridge line. They've dug themselves in. Remember, we saw them.
No way.
4-man diggy hole, and they will eventually strike us. Now, of course, when there's a million people in the middle of the city, now is when the emergency the drops are going to come through. So we'll see if anybody has the guts to go for it. I don't think we will, but AGAL, they think that they have a free and clear path up here, but it is not free nor clear. And Himas just has yet to figure it out. We see the stress coming through in the fans right now. They know
oh my
this could
God.
be dangerous.
That circle pearl is
insanity.
Oh my.
45% water. Half the city is still inside here, but look at that. Tyloo is laughing. They're going to have a hard time as Stanoat finds Setsuna. And AGL is just running southwest here. They know backfilling that area and taking some of the space is going to be so crucial. Look at that.
That circle pop just saved AGAL's life right there, because as soon as it popped, they immediately hopped in vehicles, started heading down south, going towards the coast, and Virtus Pro was not able to spring the trap that they were setting up. But now the fighting is going on in the city.
الظن كنت بعيدة على فين كاينين لعبة شبكات دابا كلشي مطايف مع كلشي شابكة الظن نص في البحر والنص في
on that ridge. Big nade coming in, does not connect, no damage done. 55 from another one from December 12th. Nance also with utility in hand, trying to fend off this aggressive push from Solalsi and Himas.
That would have been a great grenade had they been actually standing on that one, but fortunately for JDG, they have pulled back. Did not want to make themselves too obvious, and AGAL smartly, I think, realizing that the timer is ticked down. We can't really afford to stay meanwhile, Vitality fighting their way on that northern side. Road still out there on the north side as well. You see the knocks coming through. Now mortars have arrived.
mortar ديال Falcons.
Explosions causing
chaos
as Tiggleton will steal one away. Now Vicious will crash right into AGAL, or was it the other way around?
AGAL هنا كيجمعوا على VC.
Oh my God, it connected just a little bit here. Some damage done as well. Dogmai flushed here from him as Hausker finds Tanadol on the other side here, but him as finds another Panzerfaust out of the vehicle. Absolutely easy for him to come in and clear this. And now he's going to have to run, try to disengage from this fight here. Trying to find him here. Tycon, oh my God, he's going to know. He's going to throw a molly straight to him. Potentially going to do some damage.
على VC full sense are out. أول تيم كيخرج خرجوهم Falcons.
will return the favor with a grenade
Falcons
that
دابا وصلوا
will
5
be
الكيلز.
well placed, but will bounce just a little bit off. But unfortunately,
Ooh, VC are out.
has snuck out. So smart play there from Salute. Might be the last player left alive, but he is trying to get points any way he can.
VP decided to get involved in the city because they're already qualified here.
مازال بزاف ديال teams في المدينة.
10.5 game where Myth left yesterday. 79 points for them is insane here. But yeah, absolutely qualified there. Might as well have some fun here inside the city. Vitality though has a double crate gun, a Kurosa, a P90 on all of it.
Oh, Falcons. They're making a push now, and
Falcons
Tyloo
هنا
is spread across that
FIT وتايلو.
They're going to drop down some smokes. They do have that BRDM, but look at the
عندهم
in hand for Tyloo. I
دبابة.
think Kickstart may have spotted one. He's not going to take that risk, not going to push directly in, but the circle will pull away. It's going to go off to the west. So Falcons don't need to fully commit to this fight.
Kickstart يقدر يبوشي بالدبابة for some vision.
Need all of it. They need so much to get everything in here. Let's try and Tano's been knocked 14 times so far this game here, so he's also going to be flushed quickly here from Gedrox.
Vitality هنا.
I find Gedrox now though. That's a P90 out of play.
كيجيبوا كيل.
Dragon trying to go for the
واحدة أخرى.
position, has utility left in the bag to send over, but it's
Sharper
not finding the mark here.
كيموتوا.
Sharper will go down in the end as all of our teams in Songam are still now fighting themselves through. They have to leave once again as
VP كانوا Vitality طنوبيل.
shepherding all the rest of the squads into each other. Meanwhile, Falcons looks like they're going to pull away from that fight with Tyloo, as well they should.
اوه دابا الزون.
Continues to plug all that beer. He's going to be
Chiefty.
nothing left. Beamy finds destroyed. Delvin also down with another.
VP هنا غيهجموا على اي جي ال.
Push from VP here. Both of these teams are qualified.
اوه جابوا كيل ونوك.
They're playing a high-risk, high-reward game of trying to play the edges of this city, and unfortunately, they run right into each other. And there you go, AG.
اوه اي جي ال are eliminated. اوه فالكنز هنا فايت مع نافي. جوستاف is out. شريمزي is out. تيجلتين بقى بوحدو. لا تيجلتين ما جابش صاحبه.
That's insane.
Falcons
You would
are
expect so
out.
much more from that. Tyloo held that eastern side so well, but had to try
كانوا لاعبين مزيان.
push with that BRDM, but everyone
وعاوتاني غيخسروا.
especially Navi.
وغيربحوا غير 5 نقاط في هذا الماتش.
Songham on fire. Hello,
Falcons
tons of damage taken here. Correction with utility.
لاعبين كاع مزيان في هذا النهار. خصهم يعوضوا في الماتش اللي باقي وفي غدا.
Levante goes down. Hello, my bad. Right behind him is Quizzy. Will have to retreat to the hard cover. Meanwhile, Navi, they have been playing quietly over on the eastern side of Songam, have managed to keep everybody alive. Now they're looking over in that direction of all the teams that are going to have to cross that road. So they are in a great spot here. Petrichor Road is going to find Tyloo. Actually going down. So Tyloo doing the most here, but Navi now sniffing over in that area.
كانوا فايز مع تايلو وخسروا. بيرو اوت. تايلو بقى لهم لاعب واحد اللي الايف.
Sniffing out.
This could be huge for Supers.
Yeah, but look at the nades coming in. Triple four nades
Oh, Tylo.
gets the most of it. Now it's just Lee and D and Supers is back.
نافي جابوا جوج الكيلز على تايلو وفيتاليتي خدا وحده.
JD and D and Supers is looking great from this position here. They have so much control from the water side.
نافي دابا بوزيشن زوينه.
Nobody has really revealed themselves to them. Everybody knows to expect a full squad down there. The only team that they can really have to worry about right now is JDG, who's playing the western side of the coast.
مازال 10 تيمز اللي
move over in that direction, but we are playing a wide open field.
عندهم اوما لاعب او فيتاليتي ار اوت.
Have basically the only cover to find right now is Navi trying to retreat. As our city scrappers, Virtus Pro,
اوه جنجي تاو ما كيموتوا.
and this is just Virtus Pro farming at this point. 8 kills on the board, and they are cleaning out what's left of Songam.
في بي مسيطرين. شادو سبورت تاو ما غادي يخرجوا المركز الثامن.
VP continues to farm the lobby here. Absolute insane. Shooting inside the smoke, maybe thinking there's more alive, but no, you just hit your teammate just a little bit, but that doesn't matter. Now Navi, VP, and T1's gonna have a fight. Oh, JDD!
Oh, nice grenade from Susan.
JDG
As that's gonna
كيجيبوا جوج النوكس بنيد وحده.
We'll see if Supers can rebound, but Navi doing their best.
17 كان بقى الملعب واحد ومازال مسرفايفي.
If they can time the grenades perfectly, they might
Crazy.
get them. A lot of damage comes through, but they'll be able to keep that UAS alive and reposition as JDG continue their push.
Heather finds Corexi for the confirm. Raining also finds Spyro.
T1 with a two-man just fighting everyone still. That's huge. JDG finds Rex for the flush. And now he's pushing December 12 well more utility.
اوه جابوا الكيل هنا على سوبرز. سوبرز بقوا لهم جوج لعابة.
Super's able to get one of those reses off. Weren't able to get Rex.
نو 3 لعابة.
Just laying down the smoke, trying to slow things down, trying to slow JDG down.
اوه نوك.
Get something here, but a nice grenade from Cold will take down Guman. And they are once again on the back foot. The smokes aren't going to help them for that much longer. You got to wonder how much JDG even has left at this point, as they're being very, very cautious about how they take this fight with Supers, because if they can come out of this clean with all 4 up, they are perfectly positioned for a win here.
Yeah, they're realizing, is it worth betting on us winning this 1v1 fight or 1v1 team fight with them? Because if we can coexist here, we could farm the rest of the lot later on. I don't know if that's what JDG wants. Beamy finds Boostic though. Navi is under some pressure. Tyloo still has Lee alive inside the circle, and T1 still 2-man stand. And Chan also from 17 surviving on that western side. Surely eventually he's going to be found by VP.
Yeah, that's who I'm looking at right now, because VP, I mean, they came from the city. They have no idea to even look over in this direction. Tian just being
هذا هو اللاعب اللي بقى من 17. ناس مسخوطانة. لكن VP غالبا يشوفوا. اوه VP. نافي. كيف يتشوف مع T1.
Backs up against the wall here. It's actually impressive that Virtus Pro was able to keep 3 alive.
نا 17 اللاعب ديالهم غادي ما نظنيش.
This is a crazy circle as well. T1 still being in, Navi still having a rich
مازال دقيقة. اللاعب ديال 17 كيحاول يربح النقاط من البليسمنت.
Chan, yeah, could have an impact. Look, Human slowly pushing towards this rock here, trying to take space away from it. And even if they try to kind of wrap on the eastern side, that's going to be JDG trying to maybe put some bullets toward them.
Yeah, this is interesting though, because JDG has also sent Cold 119 back over to the west to kind of look back to see if that's an available rotation.
اوه T1 هنا كونتر VP. جابوا جوج ديال نوكس. اوه 17 are out. وقاوه JDG.
But T1 and Virtus Pro now fighting over the shack. JDG
Virtus Pro are out.
From Cold 119 to come over here, because this is a lot more. This is probably an easier game-winning play if they can take out T1 while they're looking. But what a hold from the duo from T1 to take down Virtus Pro.
Insane plays here from Raining and Heather. What a way to take a 2v3.
اوه ليه هنا صعيب يسرفايف.
Lee's under pressure here. He does have a little bit of a backpack, and he's going to be able to survive that. Oh, the heal comes
اوه
off.
قدر يسرفايف. برافو عليه. هيله في الوقت.
I wonder why. Maybe it's the 4 burning cars and all the dips around it.
could be a little bit of an indicator there, couldn't it? Don't say, hey, I'm being sneaky over here behind all
JDG عندهم بوزيشن واعرة.
husks of cars. Yeah. Well, look at JDG. Okay, so they're going to allow Supers to live for now. After the pressure came through initially, Cnons and Suze have been left behind to try to see if they can find an angle onto DNS whenever they're moving. But, I mean, JDG, they're positioning themselves for late game while also keeping eyes over here towards Supers. We'll see. It doesn't look like anybody's got angles on them. T1 has eyes only for Navi right now, and the same is true in reverse, as Navi looks like they've run out of offensive utility to send over towards Lee.
If JDD plays this right, this is a double-digit kills win easily for them. The way that they've approached, the way that the south side is set up for them, with the cover that they have as well, it's going to be crazy. But T1 definitely the biggest winners so far of this game here. 6 kills as a duo. They got 100 Falcons, and then
T1 كانوا بيهم جوج.
killed them. That was absolutely insane.
وقدروا يبقوا في التوب 5.
Towards the circle. This is actually sending around quite nicely. The only team that has a lip inside of it is JDD.
Just the tiniest little bit of space to play, and JDG is 4 alive. They have the opportunity to kind of go for that. Here's the blue zone.
هنا كاين البلو على نافي.
They do still have
اوه grenade zone على لي.
to send over towards Lee, but unfortunately it's just not falling. The flashbangs are going to be perfect. Unfortunately, the grenades were not. So Lee able to survive a little bit longer, and Navi still has to worry about him. Keeping eyes on T1 just to make sure nobody's sending it over. Lee did have at least one grenade to send over, will cause some damage. The second one will find the knock.
قدر يجيب
That
knock.
is going to do it for offensive utility for him.
Look at that. He just found another nade and another Molotov.
Why not?
That's huge. December 12th finds rating, and this is
T1 هنايا
JDT pushing
خلهم غير
hard
يلعب
to
واحد
be able to
نوكا.
take that south side control and also hold out the other teams trying to get in. It's going to be T1 losing raining surely, and then it's just down to Heather.
He's got another one. Oh, he's going to get the re-knock on
اللي
Hackathon.
عاجبني كان
Not
اوكي.
even able to stick the res just yet.
لاعب
So
ديال نافي.
I think Ferris' job is just to send flashbangs over there to make sure he doesn't throw yet another grenade. He's got one Molotov in, but Heather will spot out Spiro as they try to make the push. Will steal it away as well.
T1 هلا
Make sure he's
قتلوا نافي.
point Ferris now the last player left up for Navi as the blue is tickling his
Navi
toes.
are out.
Lee will collect it. Lee doing the most here for Tai Lu.
Such an important game for Tai Lu. They needed these points here. They're going to be pushing this even further here. Potentially more points to be had here as he and Subas is trying to dig in from the eastern side. JDT still has space. Lee with a Panzerfaust potentially going to send it towards somewhere in the middle to create some destructible terrain ahead of him to be able to play that. Picks up the MK12 with the 6x2. Has a almost full 3-vest. He could potentially get more points, maybe kills, maybe placements if he gets T1 out of this game.
Look at this, Supers. JDG, I mean, they're holding on the edge, but Supers have been able to take a lot of space here and are able to kind of dig themselves down. Let's see if they can hold off JDG at the edge. You see Lee doing his most to make his way in as well. T1, that's the situation they're dealing with. The smokes still kind of flying out, but you got to imagine at this point, all of these teams are going to be running pretty low on utility. Let's see who was the best at being disciplined, who was able to hold on to as much as they can, as Cold 119 taking shots over towards Heaven, not finding anything.
Simbatul just one stun grenade. He's going to have to be the point man. All of the guys has a little bit of utility. Suse finds Heaven. And Deal is on fire, potentially going down to the knees.
كيل على دينيس. اوه لي قدر يجيب جوج نوكس بوحدو لاعب.
So many problems here as a solo. Human, just a little bit of HP left as Suze just continues to push through.
غالبا يربحوا هذا الماتش. بقاو 4v1 v1 v1.
He's gonna find one, he's gonna get two, and now JDG is down to Nons and Cold 119, but T1 can't capitalize. They have to go for the res. Human
Super eliminated.
doesn't get it. Nons and Cold 119
ما يمكنش
have to make the push.
لي شحال ربح النقاط لتايلو في هذا الماتش.
It's a 2v1v1. Cold T1's out.
ولي كيجيب المركز الثاني مينيموم كونتر جي دي جي كنلعب بوحدو. هادي شي نص ساعة ورا ماتش شحال. جي دي جيمين جابو الويل.
Through the smokes will take out the raid boss of Tego, Tai Lu's Lee.
ولكن لي كريزي.
As a solo caused so many problems and essentially ruined the games for Navi, for Falcons, for Supers. I mean, he was such an influential factor there. Almost ruined it for JDG at the end. But Human stepped up big there for Supers. But I know Supers has to be a little bit upset with the fact that they weren't able to collect a little bit more off of that. But JDG has to absolutely be beaming there.
Absolutely. 8 points so far today for JDD. And now this win to come alongside the 10 points for the chicken dinner, alongside the kills, is going to put them in a more comfortable area of that mid-20s points.
What a wild Tego game. I mean, that shift. And so was it C3, C2, C3, C2?
4 or 5, where we just had 45% water. It's just insane.
Unbelievable stuff. And I mean, all those teams that had crashed into Songam, I mean, we saw it, we talked about it. There was just, I mean, 6, 7 teams all inside Songam. And guess who was the one to capitalize off of all of that? Virtus Pro is just looking so good.
Yeah, there's no vacancy in the Virtus Pro landlords. They came to throw everyone on the streets as the circle moves out. And look at that, JDG celebrating, needing it, yeah, for sure. 2 points per game average before this game here. And now they're able to capitalize. I think they're going to be ending up around 25 total points after this. So that is huge for JDG.
Yeah, massive stuff for JDG. And they still got another day left to play as well. So they've got their eyes on the top 16. But Tai Lu starting to show some signs of life here late in the day. But is it too late? That's the question. Lee doing everything he can to drag his team up the leaderboard there, but we'll see if it's going to be enough. We've got one game left to play today, guys, so don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
اوكي شو يرجعوا
We've managed to grab Trav from the Allianz Vault because it's day 2 of the group stage over on your side of things, and so we're looking for a little bit of a club championship update.
Yeah, we've had a few progressions here and there. Weibo Gaming are the reigning champions, and they've managed to claw their way through 2 real tough games, to be fair. It's been close, 2-2-1, so they've managed to get to day 3 of the competition into that knockout phase. It's going to be tough for them, though. AGAL managed to get some points on the board as well, joining them through to that third day. So they're catching up on the heels of Vitality at the moment, only 100 points behind them. And speaking of Vitality as well, they've been struggling on our stage. They're down to the lower bracket. They're looking a bit shaky here and there. But also as well, got to touch on Virtus Pro, because they seem to be one of these teams who's flying under the radar at the moment, around about that 5th spot in the club championship, and they've guaranteed themselves that minimum 200 points as well.
So the trend that I'm seeing for this week is that we actually have a lot of our big CC heavy hitters in a lot of these titles. So we're going to be keeping track of everything, how it all progresses, because I think this is going to be really impactful overall for the leaderboard. So of course, we'll check back in with all of you later.
Well, Glitter, AGL was trying to continue on that hype train, but that last game didn't end up going their way. It did end up going the way of JDG, which coming into this match, they were in last place, I believe, with just 8 points. A great bounce back out of JDG.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good start for JDG, but I mean, it's still their first day, right? So realistically, they have little room to grow. Even some of the teams that aren't doing as well today, they have some space, but I mean, time is going to run out for some of the teams that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, one of those teams being none other. I mean, we got to talk about the Group A. We're going now into the final match. We're going into pretty much make it or break it from the squads. AGL being one of those, Full Sands being one of those as well, and many more other squads in that list.
Yeah, I think we got all those teams that are on the big race as we honor JDG for their win up there. But that kill count, I think, says the name of the game. Suze makes some nice big plays, but it's not going to be enough for these guys. And I think the teams that did have enough, you heard AGAL, they're a team that's in the hunt right now. Sure. And for the Club Cup as well, I think they've hit a point where if they can just get like 5 or 6 points out of this game, they're in good shape. And I think also you got like Vitality in the same boat as they grind up as well. They just need to have sort of an average game here to put themselves in a less stressful position, I think, Godspeed.
Yeah, and they definitely had a much better day today, just like AGL, right? Which is ironic because they're 2 clubs that really need that as well. So putting those points, that's huge. They still have 1 game left. Now remember, our cutoff last year was just at 63 points, and we are getting close. We now look at these highlights. Disgusting sprays here coming out of Tyloo, which...
Oh, Tyloo!
Tyloo is... I'm gonna be honest. I'm just gonna call it. I don't think they're gonna qualify.
I agree. I'd say Ty Little to Ty Late. You know what I'm saying? But let's talk about this Ty Lee, if you will, as he has been twice now this sort of solo survivor. He plays this backstab, absolutely negates Navi's ability to get into it, doubles the chance for Heather to make this sort of big stab and gets T1 deeper into this one. But more importantly, I think breaks apart the 2 teams who had a chance to dislodge JDG in the end game. So if JDG wants to thank anyone for that win, I would give it to Tyloo.
And honestly, T1 as well. T1, even though it is their first day, their performance today has been great, Lace.
Yeah, I know. I've been sort of matching up like the T1 Falcons narrative, and the reason for that is because every time T1 comes into contention with Falcons, T1 is sort of taking over the top. It is a crazy narrative from them, and time again, they're facing our EWC champions, and they are winning. Heather and End both have more individual kills than Tiggs and Kickstart at the moment, and this rivalry goes beyond PUBG, as T1 are actually actively succeeding in their sabotage mission to deny championship points for the Falcons. And I mean, coming in with that third place as well just bumps up their average even more. I mean, 3.2 average for their placement points and 7.4 for their eliminations. And that's well above Falcons at 1.25 and 5 for their eliminations. So, you know, this kind of rivalry is pretty dangerous.
I mean, it's funny because you think T1, like, from the organization's perspective, like, we're glad that you're hurting them, right? And, like, from T1's perspective in-game, they're like, any chance to see a Falcon limping, I have to go after, right? Because they become so strong potentially. They have a lot of upside. And I think any chance you can take to slow them down. Now, the king here is Heather. He has been unstoppable. We've seen multiple moves where they send him out by himself, and he walks away with 2 or 3 points strapped to his belt.
Even if he's the one that's surviving last as well, we saw that happen with the BRDM play early on with Falcons, running them over and then finish them off with the nade as well. But for some of the other squads, we saw a nice bounce back too from VP in this last game, Godspeed.
Yeah, I mean, VP is already safe, right? But at this point, they're just continuing to play how they should, right? Instead of stepping off the gas and being like, hey, we already qualified, why would we need to play harder? I like that they're just continuing to practice, because they're going to need that practice going into the finals for sure.
Exactly. I mean, that practice is going to come into play. When you're thinking about that practice, some of the squads that are starting to, we really haven't seen a consistent day-to-day out of Falcons. When we think about it, you were just talking about it too, Lace. We did see the confidence come out in that interview that they ended up doing with Kalaris. But at what point, especially going into tomorrow, do we maybe start waving a flag, a red flag of just I don't know. It's not looking good.
For who?
For Falcons.
Oh, okay, so that last send made me really worried. Okay, we're calling a spade.
I love how you looked at me for that, by the way.
Well, I was hoping you would be the mean one. So here, at the end of the day, here's what it is. I agree with Shrimzy's first assessment in that interview that they haven't necessarily had bad calls. It was just bad situations. And I'm not saying that last one was a bad call, but that send, they had to make a choice. Do we sit on the end and do we fight Tyloo, or do we make this big push? I think, was it Tyloo?
It was Tyloo.
It was Tyloo.
It was, in fact.
Do we make a big send towards the middle? Arguably a winning position. You know, T1 is sitting on it, but it's way riskier. And when you're in 13th and you're desperate for points, I feel like the edge is the move. But I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying, like, I'm starting to stress out over what I'm seeing.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one, Godspeed.
No, I mean, I will never lose faith in those boys. But, I mean, you have to look, when we're talking about T1 and Falcons, you know, kind of being rivals, you're mentioning all these. It's hard to have a rival when you're T1 and you're just blasting past them, right? And T1 also bullied the heck out of 4EM, which we're going to see tomorrow in PGS. So when I look at T1's performance, I expected Falcons to somewhat be around that level, even though T1's having a great time, but they just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, I mean, the altercation between them too, like, it's just setting that standard, and Falcons are just not reaching that, unfortunately. But look, yeah, I'm still a believer in faith, Toffees. I'm on your side here. We got the faith for tomorrow. But yeah, it's now at this point, and, you know, you were saying like, oh, you know, you have a couple of bad PUBG, but it's been kind of bad all today. So look, tomorrow has to be an insane performance for them. And, you know, even if we look lower down at this leaderboard, you know, I was touching on Na'Vi before, saying, you know, they started kind of really super strong in this start, but something fell off for them, and they're not making these plays. They were sort of being that aggressive, and I was saying, throwing stuff at a wall and letting it stick, but now it just seems like a little bit falling off.
Yeah, just to remind everybody, we're going now into the final match for Group A. They will not be playing tomorrow. So for all those squads that you're currently looking at, VP, I mean, we mentioned it. Godspeed just said it. That squad is looking like it's going to be going to the finals, and they're pretty much set. AGAL and some of the other squads like Shadow Esports, they're still in that cups that if they could have a nice maybe 5 points or 7 points, they could end up securing that final spot.
I just want to point this out because I think it's insane, is that we've played some of these teams. 8 teams have 11 games played. Only one of them has passed Made in Thailand and Twisted Minds. Second and third place still are teams that have 6 games ahead of them. What that does mean, though, is that the cutoff tomorrow potentially drops significantly, because that means those 2 teams come in and can kind of sort of sap those points up there on the top and maybe drive someone a little bit higher.
I think Myth is genuinely the wild card of tomorrow. How many points do they come in and absolutely just soak? 4EM also had a pretty decent day as well. And so when we look at Group B, and Twisted Minds could also come in, soak a bunch of points. GAM, they had 50 points in one day as well. So all these teams, if you are on the cusp, if you are towards the bottom of the leaderboard, you are biting your nails and you want to get as many points in this last game as possible. Otherwise, your chances of going to the grand finals are just cooked.
Yes, for these teams, I mean, we gotta repeat it. Shadow Esports, Tai Lu, DNS Supers as well. We've seen them being able to kind of spark up, but they just haven't been able to go and get those kills. They haven't been there. The proactiveness to try to get it to the finals with just making sure that they go for those kills is just not there. But it's gonna come down to this final match for those teams in Group A. Can they do enough to get enough points to make it to the finals, or is it just gonna be too little, too late?
One match left to determine who from Group A will be going on, or they can do as much as they can to set themselves up for tomorrow. We'll find out what that cut line is looking like a little bit closer after this one is done, but there are some teams that are still sweating going into this final map on Erangel.
8 teams with just 1 game to go, and we're going to be going back to the absolute most historic map, and it's going to be an absolutely insane plane path. Let's look at it.
Look, I'll tell you this right now, Martin. We were talking last game about how many alt drops you see on these southern plains. This is another one where this compound, just on this western side of Sosnovka Island, has about 6 teams that have claimed it as their alt drop, and this is a far, far south plain. So this is going to be interesting. We'll see if any teams decide to drop onto each other there. We might see some early combat here, considering how far south this plane is.
I'm surprised we don't see more teams going onto the military island. We've seen so many of these plane paths where we have a either full military circle or a 50-50 military circle or 50-50 ferry pier military circle. Wow. So I'm surprised I don't see any more going really deep south or even trying to take a car and go and just loot some of the scrap on the southern side. But yeah, let's see how that evolves. Yeah. We have Vicious there, we have JD, we have DN Supers. Let's talk about the teams that are on the cusp here, though.
Let's do it.
We have Group A, it's Virtus Pro, Tai Lu, AGAL, Vitality, Supers, Full Sense, Petrichor Road, and Shadow Esports with their last game today. The team with the least points, though, out of those is Petrichor Road on 36. Absolutely shocking. And look at that circle. That's actually going to make it quite easy for most of the teams, unless we have a southern hardship.
That's honestly about as best as these guys could have hoped for, considering how far south that plane was. I think everybody was thinking Military Island. Unfortunately, it looks like it's not going to go that direction. So we'll see if Petrichor Road actually getting a little bit close here to AGAL off the drop. And they're going to lose 04MB, and that is awful news for Petrichor Road when they have so much left to play for here. Now they got to do it as a trio.
Yeah. We might have to call the agency.
They got to go for his chip, right? Like they have to.
Yeah. But
there's no other option. You have to do it if you're gonna try to make a run here.
That they're gonna have to do that, and you know, I don't see Petrichor Road making it. Like they're gonna have a 10-kill chicken dinner to lock this in to get to 56 points. It's just going to be pretty much impossible for them, having lost one. And sure, they can go for it, but are they going to think, okay, are they going to camp it, or are they going to do something funny about it? Because AGL is already qualified, to say, with the 61 points that they have now. I think, as Toffee's mentioned on the desk, we're going to have a lower cutoff. We're going to see Myth and Twisted Minds go absolutely ballistic tomorrow. They're probably going to try to breach that triple digits. T1 trying to get into SNI here and getting some loot. They're going to have no priority inside the circle. They're going to be getting in really late. Starting to loot at the 3-minute mark. That's usually where a lot of the other early teams, they start moving from their loot to try to get some of the high priority. Look at that, though. Vitality enhancing. Shots comes in, and Vitality and Levante, the big fragger of the team, finds another point for Vitality. And they're now on 63 points. That is massive for Vitality here on home turf.
That is huge. And it's great news for Levante, too, as he has been the victim a couple of times of going down early to something like that happening. So, again, another team that could definitely use a few more points to feel a little bit safer here. Shadow Esports only 54. They're going to have to hope that that cut line is a little bit lower, but it looks like Vitality is starting to kind of loop around and see if they can spot out the rest of these Shadow players. Quizzy going for the US. I don't think he knows that Setsuna is there. Setsuna will try to go for the spray, gets him down to half HP, but Vitality will leave. Yeah, Levante reading that, and good cover there from Quizzy to make sure that Setsuna can't just free fire at him.
Yeah, that was well played. Shots comes in from that Dragon. Big shots, potentially some headshots put them really low, but yeah, they're just gonna dip and dive out of it. So many teams, you know, outside the circle trying to just be the big white shark in the water. And now JDG tries to go for a actually pretty early E pick up here and trying to maybe find some control inside the circle here. I like this play from them. And if it wasn't for that last game, they would have been dead last so far. 27 points now for them. They just need a little bit more, and they're going to have everything on the table for tomorrow. We also have to talk about Tyloo, 42 points. That's not going to be enough in my book. They're going to need 10, maybe even 13 points more. Cut off in what I could expect and see here. 50 points, maybe 55 points, depending on what happens tomorrow. If we have a big, you know, game from both Myth and Twisted Minds, it's going to be lower, but if they don't, and if they just go out and have fun with it, then the middle pack's just going to be so tight.
Cutting back over here to Petrichor Road. I've been keeping an eye on this. They've been doing a little bit of a chess match, a little psychological warfare going on here between Petrichor and AGAL, but they will get that chip, which is great news for them. They have Razak for free, should get that revive off very easily, and Razak's still inside zone, so they can afford to take the time to get him back and get him looted up. Now, they had the north pretty much to themselves, but it looks like Vitality doing the long wraparound on the north side, north of the river. T1 also starting to creep over in this direction, but they're coming in on the south side of the river, so Petrichor Road will need to be on keeping eyes off to the east to make sure that T1 doesn't take them by surprise.
Absolutely. We're going to get that res off. 0-4 MB comes in. The Nightbane of Petrichor Road. They need this last player to make this happen. 36 points so far. One more game to go. In 30 minutes, we're going to know exactly where we end up with them. And if they're going to be flying home tomorrow or going to play in the final. Oh, Panzerfaust left for that. Now Falcons as well coming in this northeastern side into this circle here, Poro. Quite the space ahead of them, but if timing allows it, they could be driving straight into Petrichor Road or AGL.
All the timing right now is kind of weird for Petrichor Road because Chewy was sent to scout off to the south and he's returning back. It looks like he'll be able to get back to him. Petrichor Road, after they hit that revive spot, they immediately got on the move, which is good news because T1, as you see, has now made their entry into Razak after looting up in Yesnaya, but they're going to see the taillights of Petrichor Road. So Pero not going to have time to get loot up for 04MB, but 04MB already on the move. You can see he's coming back in as Petrichor Road still trying to find a spot to play. This might be a ruins, if anything else. AGAL already in position, and I think Petrichor Road knows it.
This could be very scary, both for PT1 and for Petrichor Road, because AGL is just going to spring out and do some damage. Some drive-bys are happening now, though. T1 trying to get some damage done onto Petrichor Road, and they're shooting back as well. T1's flying around, Raining taking so much damage, down to 48 HP.
T1 has had a banger of a day so far for themselves. They'd love to be able to get a few more points here today, as EN will get taken down and flushed out by Falcons, so that'll be a point secured for the boys in green. But for T1, you have to imagine trying to get as many points as they can today, because when tomorrow arrives, they have an enemy entering the lobby that they have a lot of familiarity with in 4 a.m. That is going to be a major storyline for tomorrow. As you see, 04MB will
Let's go. آخر جيم عنا النهار في PUBG.
But it looks like he should be safe in Petrichor Road. Now back up to 4 strong.
Absolutely.
ديجا فيتاليتي و اي جي ال خداو الكيل الاولى. فالكنز تاهم خداو الكيل.
Trying to get some space ahead of them here. As this
Thank goodness for esports loot, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's insane. Gonna have plenty of loot there for him. He's just gonna need some helmets. The other guy's gonna have the utility. And Vicious from that military island trying to get in with an E pickup too. We're gonna have this circle pop though. Let's see where we do end up, Poro.
Yeah, it's a real AD pickup for Vicious.
Of course, Argentina not winning.
See where I mean, yeah, you can't blame him for it. Obviously, they're waiting for the circle to pop and be able to drop wherever it may go. And it's gonna go on the mainland. Still hugging the coastline here. Na'Vi have their pick of the litter as far as places they want to play. AGAL also in a pretty decent spot, but a number of teams off to the west are all going to be running into each other right now, and it's immediately starting. You see some more E pickups being popped up there by Genji. I don't think that they're going to end up taking that one. Salute just kind of holding the line.
Absolutely, so much. It's going to be happening on the western side here. Correctly goes down. Beamy returns the favor. Deal finds
هنا دي انا سوبر سكيل قوي. جوج الكيلز على في بي.
They could be the cutoff team if they don't get more. And now they turn around here. Virtus Pro Down to just 2 players. A red zone dead center as well. We're going to have such a absolute fiesta towards the late game here with so much cover being created. Tanova finds Tianchan. Sharper being engaged in 17. Lots of damage done here with utility as well.
اوه في بي كيقدروا يجيبونو كان على السوبرز.
Between 17 and Sharper. See if they can get Tianchan back up. Gotta give credit to Supers immediately getting those 2 kills and flushes onto Virtus Pro and getting their knocked man in the trunk of the car and get him out of the danger zone. It looks like Vicious has arrived as well. Eyes in the skies will be taking shots at them, but all the people on the ground have maybe more important things to worry about, so that might be good news here for Vicious.
Jedi sees 17 shots, comes in, connects quite a lot, but the car is also providing cover. Jedi and Earthsapalui from Sharper trying to fend off 17. Look at that. Docmai goes down as well from Vicious.
Did he get hit while he was in the air? I've always wanted to know if that could happen, if they were parachuting down, if he could get hit by a red zone bomb while in the air. But Docmai finding out the hard way. It looks like he might have got hit while he on the ground, so they should be able to get the res. But VC do manage to get all boys onto the ground, and we'll see if they can reset. Now 17. Sharper, again, just being a really tough out here. But 17 able to get Tianchan back. They've got 4 men alive, and they've got the time right now to devote to finishing these guys off.
Bill goes with the push. Can he get Earthsapalui off this Rich here? Stun grenade applied. That's going to be huge. It's going to be a little bit too far here. Earthsapalui finds Xiaowu, gets another one, but Tianchan returns the favor to him.
That's a massive double knock, though, for Earthsapalui. That gives Jedi a little bit of time here, a little bit of room to work with, as he's going to throw a Molotov off in that direction, hope for the best, but Wembo is his primary concern currently as he continues to throw flashbangs over, and Wembo knows all I've got to do is just keep him distracted while these revives come through. He'll go ahead and rejoin the rest of his squad mates. Jedi gonna hop down because he hears the vehicles of Shadow Esports coming in right behind, and JDG now arriving as well. 17, they've got their backs up against the wall.
We're down to just Wenbo and Ilgos. They're going to have to fend this off. Zeus is knocked, but Wenbo gets down from the top, turns around, damage to 12, but Jexy also gets involved. So much fight here. So many third parties. Xiao is going to be flushed here by December 12th.
Look at this Vitality now. They see all this going on. They're going to finish off
Oh, Vitality دخلوا. Oh, 17 are out. ضماج.
Roaming around just below the hillside.
بداو في الأول مزيان ولكن
They see all the smokes. Let's see if they decide to go up there and get
من بعد بداو هيك يخسروا.
Gedrox will just go for
يسألوا النهار في المركز 22.
17,000
on there.
Yeah, absolutely. 17,000 in 16th place here means they're going to end the day on 23 points. It's probably the lowest I've ever seen 17 gaming on at an international level. Fanadol with the MG3 in hand, the bullet hose. They decided to not take shots towards Shadow here, so they're going to be able to sit up towards the center of the zone.
Looks like Vitality is actually going to avoid all that as well and just continue down to the south. Meanwhile, Petrichor Road, they wrapped all the way from the northwest, all the way to the southeast. We'll see how much longer they can stay alive as Shadow Esports are just dug in. See if here they're just getting peppered. I think that's Full Sense mostly taking shots over in that direction. As Full Sense now have control over the west. They do have Jedi on the top of the hill, and that's about the only problem that they have to worry about.
Yeah, as we have the final match here on the Qiddiya City grid for the Battle Royale stage at Esports World Cup 2026. You see live from Paris, you see the nerves coming in.
ليفانتينا جاب نوك على في بي كي كونفيرمي الكيل. لا لوكاروكس
had a great day so far today, 85 points. Took them 11 games to get above mid.
A hell of a tournament so far for Virtus Pro, and they're down to just Nixie right now as Supers continue to clean out that compound. Meanwhile, Shadow is just expecting
VPR
from Full Sense. There you go, Nixie will go down. So Virtus Pro is
برافو عليهم. لعبوا الماتش مخير، لعبوا النهار مخير. يسالوا النهار ب85 نقطة هما الأولى.
GG also on only 16 points after 5.5 games is insanity. If you look at the names on that roster, Falcons here on the northern side, they're actually in there safe. Gustav is creating space around him on that eastern side, actually taking some of the great big compounds that's available as T1 is driving ahead of them. It's going to be quite congested towards the middle in some of these smaller dips. We have Navi playing extremely aggressive, trying to hold down that compound. with the big white building inside of it. Tigger finds Kamals from Shadow Esports, has full sense approaches and engages. Look at that.
Great nades هنايا. أولو لو.
Shadow Esports from full sense.
فول سنس دمروهم. جوج النيدز جابوا 3 الكيلز.
You're not in a position to prevent them from getting into grenade range. You know what to expect, right? You know that these guys are just going to get within grenade range and just drop it right on top of your heads. And unfortunately, they had no better option than to stack on top of each other as the circle is going to go dead center Petrichor Road right in the middle.
La position
الرابعة. 36 points before this game started.
برافو عليهم. افونساو بارابور للبارح ولعبوا احسن. جنجي جابوا كيل هنا على فيتاليتي. جنجي مطايفين مع فيتاليتي. فيتاليتي كيموت لهم لي فانتي. فيتاليتي بقى لهم جوج لعابة. يحاولوا يهربوا. نو كيتجمعوا مع بضياتهم.
Regardless of what happens in this game, that 3 kills that they've gotten so far will bring them up to 65 points. You got to imagine that they're probably feeling comfortable here as we get a look at the finishing off young Nixie. Yep. Boom. Not what you want to see peeking around the corner as a guy with a Panzerfaust in hand.
Oh, you just think I'm dead. Tickleton finds Raining now.
Tickleton قدر يقتل ينوك رينين بالمورتار.
Can you get the confirmation as well? At least they know the information now. More shots, more knocks are coming in here as they try to approach it. I think he's trying to pick him up.
Tickleton. Knocka. Type.
More points come the way of Falcons.
قدر يقتل.
He has more mortars in hand coming towards it.
Rainin.
He is able to just put them in their pocket right now. Gustav just giving them the readings, letting them know where they are. As Type will, you can see him just kind of crawling around. The rest of T1 looks like they're going to hop into vehicles. Ian and Heather already on the move. Shrimsy trying to take the angle to catch them as soon as they did.
الثالثة.
They're in trouble.
هيثر كياخذوا الكيل على T1 ار البنيت.
They will go out early, but
43
points on the day.
43 نقطة. سكور زوين.
Not considering Tyloo after 11 games is on 42, so that is massive. Tyloo under a lot of pressure from Falcons now as they're going to have a scrappy fight on this northern side.
Shrimsy.
And now Tyloo's going to try to steal that away from him. Yeah, Hector actually gets the confirmation.
خذوا الكيل على شريمزي.
But they are dead center. They got hot cover to play around, so let's see how far they can take it in this game here for their campaign.
Tyloo in a really good position to be a problem. They've got a lot of work left to do if they want to try to feel a little bit more comfortable, considering that they were sitting on 20 points after 3 games today. They managed to double that in the last 2 games, so hell of a job by Tyloo here to close things out. We'll see if they're able to clutch any more as JDG Gaming just trying to survive under the shadows of AGAL bullets.
And it's just trying to create space here around the trees for cover. A little bit of a foxhole being dug out here as the phase is closing. And 5 more seconds, we're going to see this next circle here. It's going to have such an impact. If we don't send her up, it's going to make and force teams to move. We've got, it's going to be a slight
zone
donut, but Petro dead center. Can they capitalize from this circle luck?
Again, you bring up the problem as well as the benefit. Obviously, you get great luck. You're right in the dead center, but there's not hard cover there. There's not a compound. They're just hiding in the middle, and you can only be so aggressive from that position without putting yourself at major risk. And you see the mortar still falling over in Falcons territory, but Tig is going to return the favor.
Both Tyloo and Falcons are shooting mortars. Tig finds calm.
Tickleton. Crazy. جوج النوكس على تايلو اللي كيقدر يقتل كيك ستارت حتى هو بالمورتار. تيكلتون هنا كيحاول يهرب ولكن صعيب يهرب. كيجي عند شيرو كيك ستارت وكيخسر دبالو من المورتار. تايلو إلا كان عندهم شارج واحد آخر يقدروا يوليو يفيزيوهم. هنا تايلو غيحاولوا يضربوا بالنايدز. اوكي مورتار واحد آخر. قدروا يهربوا.
That goes down as well.
Bravo.
Finds points here. D is on a rip this game here. Tickleton with 3 kills so far.
Sharper are out.
Jedi, that is Sharper out in 12th place. It's going to be a little bit rough for them as well, but
لي
29 points just.
كيضرب مورتر واحد آخر.
Skies are
شوية.
alive with mortar fire right now, but it
زقل.
looks like they
لعبوا
might
ثلاثة
calm
فالكنز.
down as Falcons will try to regroup, reposition, secure themselves a spot here. Nice spray from Tig will take down one
هنا
dragon.
تيكلتون كياخذ الكيل على لي.
Their late game heroics might be put on hold here. Kong Kong and Hausker are the last 2 players left alive, and they are pushed right up against
Kickstart
the wall. He
is
will
knocked.
get the knock on a kickstart, and that might open up a little bit of a door here for Tai Lu.
Yeah, Kickstart's on the 2nd or 3rd knock. He's bleeding out fast. 15 more seconds. I don't see them getting it. He's going to get flushed potentially here. Kong finds it. Hausker goes down to Fairest, and Tai Lu is on a lot of pressure here. They're going to try to go for the rest. The circle is pressuring them. It's going to be closing in 30 seconds.
It's been a little bit of a slow day for Navi.
هنا كاين البلو كونتر ديان
They
سوبرز.
might be able to find some more points here in this final game. 4 alive, complete control over the East as Hausker is going to go down to Tickleton. He'll get both.
تيكلتون جاب جوج الكيلز هنا على تايلو. تايلو ار اليمينيتد.
Falcons on his back here in the end as Gendrox gets the double knock onto Genji.
جوستاف جاب النوك.
Finds Delwyn as well. Flash finds Tycon. There's so much pressure.
على لعبة AGL.
A lot of teams are trying to approach it. Delwyn's down. D gets flushed as well. Flash finds Tycon. As Full Sense try to get
Full Sense هنا كيخسروا.
D and Subas out of this lobby.
تايجر
I mean, remember
knocked.
how Vicious got here. They took the E pickup. They got one of their players knocked by a red zone upon arrival, and now they are in great position to cause problems with Thanadol. He's got that MG3 in hand, and he is
Nice.
sing as he finds
Full Sense نقدر يقتلوه.
Supers now down to just human.
سوبر آخر لاعب من سوبرز.
Not happy with that one. But they're going to be ending up on 61 points, and in my book,
نو سوبرز مازال عندهم لاعب.
finals now. D and Supers trying to make the most of it.
أوه
They're
خسروا
on
دابا.
9th place. And is that going to be
سوبرز
enough?
كيخرجوا.
53 points here. I'm not certain that's going to be enough for the cutoff. Dogmai finds lots of points onto Full Sense as well, as Vicious have had a great day one for their first showing here at Esports World Cup.
Hell of a performance from them as Thanadol. Now the last player left up here for Full Sense. 60 points for them today, or for them overall as well. Gotta imagine they're feeling pretty comfortable. Would love to be able to get a little bit more here if possible. That may be asking too much versus Vicious just in perfect position
هنا
here.
في سي فايت مع
There's not much Thanadol can do, and he
فول
will go
سنس
down
قدروا
again.
يكليريوهم. فول سنس ار اوت.
Oh, this 55 to 60 points cutoff. That's going to be so many teams. The mid pack is going to be packed tomorrow, but not.
Falcons بقوا غير جوج.
As you mentioned, Tickleton 6 kills. Gustav 1 here. The last 2 flying Falcons. They have the north side. They could get a little bit more out of this one here. Potentially placements, but also the kills. Petro still hunkering down in the middle. Is it going to be enough though? There are 4 live Poro. I'm not sure. Some teams are going to drive up and pull up straight on top of them.
وبيرو هنا كيفيزيو جي دي جي. خسر ردهم بالهم من اللور. كاين فالكنز. اوه كلشي كيفيزي هنا جي دي جي. جاو في الوسط. ها تيكلتون نوكت. بيرو كينو كيوا.
Utilities being deployed now. I-26 trying to get that flush onto him. Gustav
كيجيب الكيل. لافيسي.
Top 7 for them. Great game. It's going to be enough. 34
حاول يرفايفي. تيكلتون.
with only 6 games played. That's fantastic.
نافي اضرب نيد على بيرو. ونيد وارا. 40 ديال الدامج.
All you got to do is hope that you maybe get a little bit of luck and a few more kills going your direction. But look at that leaderboard. All the bottom half of it right now are the teams that are still left alive.
هذا المورتال ديال تيكلتون.
A little bit of that trigonometry in action.
كونتر تايلو.
Back knocks onto Tai Lu.
That was insane.
Lion's share of that damage, and he immediately pops up, finds one dragon. It's been the Tickleton show for the Falcons. We'll see if they can keep it going as the circle will abandon them. They're going to continue playing around on the north from
مازال 7 فراقي. فيتالي تيبقى منهم لاعب واحد.
It's a C4. They're going to be driving that straight onto Petrica Road here. Take's going to be waiting a little bit for it.
تيكلتون هنا غيدير طوموبيل بالسي 4. اوه جي دي جي جيمين ار اوت.
And now they're into the top 6. Look at this. It's chasing.
اوه
Get 26 down. Exactly what
تيكلتون
Sparrow was hoping for. Not
كان ساهر عليها ولكن ما قدرش يجيب الكيل. اوه جريت نايد انا فيها جوج ديال النوكس على بيرو. Crazy. Falcons خصهم ضروري يجيبوا الكيلز باش كونفيرميو لي بوين. بيرو بقى لهم لعاب واحد بعيد على اللعابه جوج اللي نوكاو. الفرق الاخرين غيحاولوا يشفروا الكيلز الفالكنز جوبونس. ما عنده حتى شي نايد غوستاف. عارف فين كاين اللعاب اللي بقى الاخر ديال بيرو. لعاب ديال فيسي كيموت في الزون. فيسي كيبقى لهم لاعب واحد. بيرو ار اوت. الفالكنز قدروا يجيبوا هنا 3 د الكيلز وكيوصلوا للكيل 12 في الماتش. كريزي. برافو فالكنز. تيكلتون هنا بقى بوحدو خاصو يحاول يريفايف عشيرو. غوستاف از اوت. فالكنز بقاو لهم غير لعاب واحد. تيكلتون فيسي ار اوت. تيكلتون قدر يجيب كيل على فيسي. كريزي. نافي بقاو ب4 بيهم كونتر جينجي فيتاليتي وفالكنز. جينجي عندهم جوج لعابه واحد نوك.
Navi sending Spiro down to the south side, playing around the edge to see if he can find any angles, but Gen G are dug in. It's not going to be easy to spot them out.
نافي هنا كيجيب كيل على جينجي.
Actually backfilling the Gen G position could be huge for him. He could get more points out of it. Still one Vitality solo, still Tickleton solo, but he's locked in.
Let's see what Gen G is dealing with. Soul, a grenade in hand, waiting for that inevitable push from Navi. Meanwhile, Tiggleton has just been going ape on this northern side.
P90 now.
He's got a P90 because why not? Why not give a P90 to the guy that is just absolutely farming? But this is what we're dealing with on the top of this hillside with the new destructible terrain. Even jump peeking, it looks like Hackatory may...
He's sniffing.
Yeah, he's definitely nervous about it. He's not going to walk up right onto Halloween. In fact, he might be calling Boostic over here to provide support.
You could also see he was jumping pointing down. He was trying to mark the exact location so they have an active marker on that location. So let's see what happened here. 8 kills and 1,000 damage though for Tickleton and a 3 helmet. Let's see if he can get more out of it. Can he get an impact onto Gen G? Soul still alive. Also,
yeah,
with Salute.
Playing with house money at this point.
تيكلتون هاز فالكنز فوق كتافو دابا 8 الكيلز اللي جا في هذا الماتش.
For Falcons. Salute though looking over in that direction. He's expecting it. Waiting for the push. Might have spotted him out.
اوه هنا تيكلتون كيتسبوتا وكيموت. جنجي يقدروا يجيبوا الكيل عليه.
Spot him out and heal up once again. As Gen G, they're finding some success here late in the day as well.
Vitality absolutely squeezing the most points possible out of this one here. And Gen G only 16 points.
Vitality يقدروا يجيبوا third position. وخا كانوا باقيين لعاب واحد. وخا كان باقي لهم لعاب واحد في الفرقة.
Let's see how much they can get. Can they get Vitality out? Can they get another kill? Can they get a flush onto Navi? Surely Navi wins this. Just by the grace of being.
اوه جنجي هنا تحركوا.
Now without just Salute.
نافي يقدروا يقتلوا جنجي. دابا نافي 4v1 في 1. كريزي فيتاليتي اللي يقدروا يجيبوا هاد الكيل. كريزي فيتاليتي اللي يقدروا يجيبوا لا بوزيسيون الثانية. اوه هنا فيتاليتي كيجيب نوك. اوه جنجي ار اوت وفيتاليتي يقدروا يجيبوا سكند بليس. نافي وما الوالا. برافو عليهم. جي جي. Kumbakwara.
Navi being absolutely different here, playing it surgically perfect. They did not
Bravo,
want to
Leo.
risk it. They wanted to be 4 alive to secure this chicken dinner, and it's going to put them quite deep into the race here. Sure, it's their first day. Tomorrow they got 6 more games to play, and they're going to be ending up somewhere in the 40+ points here after this game. What a way to play it. But the story of this game surely has to be Tickleton and his new duo partner of Gustav. What a way to impact this northern side, and what a way to make a name for themselves in this last game.
Massive salvage game for them, and definitely going to be feeling a lot more comfortable going into day 2 after that big performance to close out the day. So hopefully maybe get a little confident snowball rolling there as well. Na'Vi, man, I gotta feel like if they were in a better position, if they had a better first 5 games, they were in a position to where they could have been a lot more deadly if they were more in a spot to take high-risk plays. But instead, they realize, okay, we need to have a win here. We need to just secure this. We're 4 alive. We see the kill feed just lighting up like a Christmas tree. Let's not throw. We don't need the kills just yet. Let's just get these placement points. We're perfectly positioned for it. We'll take the 6-7 kills to go along with it, and that's going to set us up very nicely for day number 2.
He didn't even get the point for the kill there, but he did get the point for placement. Surviving out from Gen G there. Vitality also, what a great day for them.
Fantastic day for them.
They are able to put themselves into 60+ points, so that's absolutely amazing. Even maybe 70+ points here. So far, so good. Virtus Pro saved, Made in Thailand saved, Twisted Minds, Team Vitality. In my book, AGL is also safe.
Yeah. On the other side of that coin, teams that we were keeping eyes on, Petrichor Road.
Out.
I don't know, buddy. I think you might be donezo. Tai Lu also in that same predicament. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, anything can happen now that you got Myth and Twisted Minds in there tomorrow. You got T1 that's had an insane day today. That's another team that could just farm. You really, at that point, if you're one of those teams that are kind of sitting lower, you just hope that some team comes in tomorrow and just pops off and sponges up all the points, lowering that cut line.
If I would be deciding it right now from what I'm thinking is going to happen tomorrow, I think Petrichor Road is absolutely out. Tai Lu is absolutely out. But my worry is Super's going to be out? Are there going to be that, 16th, 15th place team? It's going to be so many teams in that big make pack. One big game is going to jump you up straight into the top 8 quite easily. And does Made in Thailand Myth, do they go out and farm tomorrow? Do they go for the triple digits? Do they go for the absolute dominance? If I know Kiss Ride and the guys, they're going to come in and have so much fun with everything tomorrow, just fragging out and pulling up on everyone.
Well, that's the thing, is that team is probably at their most dangerous when they have no fear. Like they're not worried about anything. They're not concerned. They know they've made it. So they're just going to take all the high risk, high reward plays. And usually when you're playing loose, you're playing fast, those rewards end up being pretty large here. You could say the same thing about Twisted Minds. That's not a team that you want to have to play when they're playing confident and don't have the stress and the pressure of having to reach that cut line as well. So we'll see. Obviously a lot of things on the line here tomorrow when we play with groups B and C to close things out. Group A, you did what you had to do. Hopefully you did enough.
Yeah, let's go throughout today though. So far, Petrichor last place, 17 points. 17 Gaming, only 23 points. Shadows down there with 20, but Tai Lu only 24. That's not good enough. Gen G after this last game here jumps up into 26. There's so many teams in that mid pack, but Virtus Pro, what a way to start and end. So far, 50 points today here. Vicious starting on 45, Na'Vi on 44, Vitality 43. What a way to go about it for these teams here.
It's beautiful work by those teams, and very happy for them, and we look forward to seeing them in the final. But we are going to throw it over to an interview, so make sure you tune in, and make sure you tune in tomorrow, because we will be back.
As day 2 comes to a close, we of course have some interviews down here on the main stage. I've got the main man himself. I have Himas here from AGAL. Himas, let's kick things off by talking about today. Slightly better than yesterday. Yesterday seemed like an uphill battle, but talk to us about the end. You looked like you were particularly upset after that last match.
Trận cuối cùng bọn em cần nhiều điểm hơn để có thể vào chung kết, nhưng mà bọn em vẫn làm không tốt cho nên là em hơi bực ạ.
In the last match, we really need a lot of points to be able to get to the final, but we didn't do well enough. That's why I was upset.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, let's think back a little bit to PGS5. You know, to come so close, and then to, you know, 17 Gaming to kind of pip you guys right at the post, just at the very end. Did that have more of a negative impact on you guys as a team, or did that motivate you coming into the Esports World Cup?
Sau khi mà giành top 2 ở BGS 5 thì bọn em đã lấy lại tinh thần cũng như là động lực để có thể bắn giải tiếp theo.
After we get to the top 2 of PS5, we try our best to get here.
That's fair, and you know, touching on what you said earlier very quickly before I let you go, 61 points. Do you feel like you've done enough to get into the grand finals?
Em cứ nghĩ là hôm nay em đã làm đủ tốt để có thể để đến được vòng chung kết không?
Việc mà 61 điểm thì em nghĩ là em cũng không biết được, nên là bọn em phải chờ ngày mai, nốt ngày mai để mới biết được có được vào chung kết hay không.
61 points, we really don't know at the moment. We have to wait until tomorrow to be able to know we are going to be in the final or not.
It's true. Himas, stoic, but you know what? You're a legend of the esport. Thank you so much for joining me in this interview. You're an absolute legend. Don't go anywhere because we have another interview set up right across the way with, of course, Kalaris.
Yeah, thanks very much, Barney. Production, can we cut the stream? You're doing me dirty. What is this? All right, I've got... we played basketball earlier. Have you ever played basketball?
Yeah, I played in the NBA.
This makes way more sense. Ibby here, the coach from Virtus Pro. So you guys have looked spectacular today. My first question for you guys is 85 points going into that last game. A very aggressive 2-2 split. Was this you guys limit testing, or you did lose 2 on the rotation?
No, that's just playing with balls. I would have also done that 2-2 split. I like it that they did it. We got called by DNS, kind of like a timing thing. We go next.
Fair play, fair play. So I did speak to Nixie at the end of yesterday, and he was kind of a bit, you know, up and down about the results as a whole. Obviously, it was a bit of a difficult day, despite you getting 37 points anyway. So was the game plan changed? What was the discussion coming into day number 2, and what you guys had to approach?
Not really. We had 2 situations that were pretty similar yesterday. We kind of spoke about that. And we didn't speak much before the games today. Same focus, good comms. We played insane. Our comms today were great. I'm super happy, and we played great.
No doubt, no doubt. You did look really, really good here today. So let's go kind of bigger picture here for a moment. You guys are obviously in that grand final, but for Virtus Pro, for the Esports World Cup Championship and everything like that, the club championship specifically, for Virtus Pro, obviously, I think a lot is on the line. You've got a lot of strong contenders across some of these games as well. How are you guys looking at it as a whole?
I mean, we know it's really important for VP. We're going to try our best, and I know we have a really good chance. The team is looking really good right now, and we're really confident. So we're going to give it our all, and I'm really looking forward to the finals.
All right, thank you very much, Ibiza, for joining me here. Production, you can't find anybody else much taller than this man, so get out of here.
I beg to differ, Kalaris, because you know what? Let me actually do this real quick.
Just squeeze in real quick with us right here.
It looks like we're the security detail for this guy.
Let's take our son to school, shall we?
I look like one of my kids. I swear. But honestly, we're going to talk about that last game a little bit. We had Navi being able to put up a good performance there in that last one. And finally, I was getting ready to wave those red flags for Falcons, but it all comes down to just one superstar player being able to make plays, getting those kills, and boy, did he show up with Tick.
Well, so we talked about earlier today with like Navi and Falcons and how they were having tough days, but they were still sort of grinding out this 5 points per game average. And the goal with that is that you have that one big bopper out of 6. Both of them got it in the end. Navi obviously comes out with the win through placement points. Falcons is with kills, but now they're back in the race. And that's what I expect from these two teams. That's what I expect from any great team, right? That's where the difference is made.
Now,
let's do this.
اوكي دونك في بي من الأولى
excellent of Falcons. They
made in Thailand
Love to see it. We
هما
have to
الثانيين
talk about it. We have
بعد
to talk
نتايل
about it.
تأهلوا رسميا
Their teams
هما
here, as we
في
look
بي
over here,
قعدوا للخمسة الأولاد
they're just
الستة
going
الأولاد
on.
تأهلوا.
Now, AGAL in full sense, there is a high possibility because of the teams coming into tomorrow, Myth, Liquid, Twisted Minds, that they sponge up enough points to make 60 just about the cutoff. But when you're talking about Shadow Esports, Supers, and
نافيتا هما
unfortunately,
اليوم جمعوا بزاف
I
النقاط.
think their
برافو
run is
عليهم.
done.
I believe so too, honestly. With Shadow, I'm still on copium for that squad. I'm hoping that they might be able to just done enough with those 55 points, but I don't think it's going to happen. Supers as well, because we have some of the other squads. You were talking about them earlier. GAM Esports, Team Liquid, even the Vicious. The Vicious showed up today in a big way.
They're going to make big pushes, and I think during that interview, AGL was a little bit worried, like, is 61 going to be enough? I'm stressed. I think it is, because at the end of the day, there are 5 teams below them that are basically eliminated today. They just haven't gotten enough, and they're way below that cutoff. R8, who plays tomorrow, as you're going to see here in just a second when we get to the last stage of the board, has 10 points. So they are
Okay, Tylo, T1, Team Falcons.
impossible ride tomorrow. Gen G was almost in that same position. They had
جمعوا أكثر من 40 نقطة دونك برافو عليهم. سكور مزيان يعاونهم.
means that they could potentially do it tomorrow. But what
نحن
that means
غدا.
is for AGAL, there's really only 2 teams that they have. Like, there's only 2 teams that they have to worry about not getting passed by. You know what I mean? Like, when you count those numbers. So I think that they are probably okay. In fact, I would even argue if that cutoff goes to 60, some of our other teams, like Full Sense, might still be in.
Yeah, it's very much a chance. But 2 teams I really want to talk about too, as far as going into tomorrow, are T1 and 4AM. Because again, 4AM
وهادو
pretty
هما
much been
الفرق اللي
bullied in PGS by T1, and they're going to face off.
والله في حد هنايا شكرا بزاف في السبورت ديالكم ونتشافوا إن شاء الله.